Yo. Yibbity yabbity yabbity yo. Guys, how's it going? Can you hear me okay out there in YouTube world? Guess what? I've got good news. I got good news. I've started a new tier on Patreon. It is, I got it pinned here, pinned comment. It is a movie review podcast over on Patreon. So the first episode is about The Exorcist. So if you want to listen to me and some friends BSing about what our thoughts on The Exorcist were, we're going to keep reviewing horror movies at least twice a month, every other week. Over on a $10 tier over there. It's just for fun. Gets me watching more movies. Okianasa Nijimura with the $5. Ooh, can we get much higher? So high. Hope you get to eat it from the back soon. Thanks, bro. I hope so too. Hope God will bless me with a back eating. Big up from UK. Big ups, big ups. How we doing? How's everybody doing? Good news, the best news, the greatest news we have ever heard. It is another movie review podcast. It's called the Dead Astronauts Movie Review Podcast over on Patreon. Let me know what you guys think if you do listen to it. It's gonna be sick nasty. Now for some real entertainment. But anyways, guys, what's the new, what's the haps, what's the hip happening? Any new video game announcements before we kick off tonight? Anybody watching isn't there like video game awards or something? NHL. Oh, nice. But I'm doing good. Today was a good day. It was a good weekend. It's Memorial Day tomorrow. I'm going to be grilling and chilling with the fam. Should be a good day. Warhorse Studios is making an open-world Lord of the Rings RPG. That's the studio behind Kingdom Come Deliverance, so that would be a big deal if they bring that grounded, immersive RPG style to Middle-earth. That would be dope, wouldn't it? They also confirmed another Kingdom Come project is in the works, but details are still thin. A few other current gaming items worth noting. Summer Game Fest is coming June 5th. That's where a lot of major announcements and trailers are expected. It starts 5 p.m. Eastern Time. World of Tanks Heat is announced and dated in a standalone free-to-play tactical vehicle shooter launching May 26th. Xbox Game Pass added a late May batch with Horizon 6 being the big one, plus Dead Static Drive, Luna Abyss, Escape Simulator, and Jurassic World Evolution 3. Interesting. It's so weird when these big games come out and they get thrown right into Game Pass. Like, I don't know. Have I got any new Pokemon cards? I've got a lot of... I was cracking cards from the Chaos Rising set. It seems like everyone I know has gotten the Froakie. Because the Froakie was supposed to be like some, rare illustration art. But it doesn't seem like it's that rare. I did pull like some $50 Mega Greninja or whatever. It wasn't like the super rare Mega Greninja one, but it was, I don't know, maybe the one down from that. It was pretty sick. Simone Archibald, welcome back for 18 months. Cannot explain how much your voice calms me, Joel. You're more appreciated than you know. Thank you, Simone. I'm glad I can help you. You broke your glasm? What's a glasm? What's up, Jonah? I'm doing good, bro. Just cruising. You got the new Greninja SIR Chaos Rising. Dude, that's amazing. What's that look like? Greninja SIR. Oh, yeah, that thing is sick. It's already $400, which is crazy. I'll buy it off you. What do you say? Wait, where's this one? Rayquaza? Is that part? Oh, that's from Etsy. Never mind. Oh, and then there's like a golden one as well. Oh, wait, and there's like an EX? Oh, no, that's from Twilight Masquerade. I see. Interesting. But I really need to... I think I've arrived at the point in regards to Pokemon, I need to start going to, like, shows. I know it's NPC behavior, but that's fine with me. I am an NPC, waiting for the main character to arrive. You broke your glasses, not your glasums. My glasums. Oh, my glasums. Happy Memorial Weekend. What's on the grill tonight? Yeah, we definitely got some steaks cooking tomorrow. Some good ones. Actually come from a sponsorship, which is pretty funny, but they're delicioso. Broke up with my lady. Glad you got to listen to you get my mind off things. Hey, no worries, bro. Sometimes one must free themselves from that which holds them back, you know? No worries. NPC behavior is smoking all your friends' weed, yeah. Going to all their houses and just stealing it. I saw people buying cases of beer at 7 a.m. Maybe that's a little bit NPC behavior. They haven't even gotten their times figured out. But anyways, guys, we got stories from the middle of nowhere, kind of related to like things you might find in some isolated homesteads. So I hope you guys find these interesting tonight. You blame Joel. Hashtag blame Joel for my horrible life. I will carry the brunt of your sin, don't you worry. The last thing I want any of you guys to ever have to do is take accountability for any of your own actions. That just, I don't know. I feel like that would be world-shattering. What's up, Sadie Jane? Trying to find some fat clothes to wear. I feel you, bro. You could just put on a big parachute. NPC behaviors blaming Joel for your lack of accountability. No. I think in the future everyone should just have their own personal Jesus that they put all their sins onto. But you can only do it once a year. And then once you use it up, you have to take full responsibility for all your other actions. And there's got to be a point system. And this thing that is going to take on your sin for the year is probably going to be like a chicken. And then if you have to kind of choose in the moment whether you want to use it up. If you did something really bad, like if you're in a courtroom, you could be like, Your Honor, and you pull out your chicken and just like snap its fucking neck. And then that's like your animal sacrifice for the year to, levy favor back to yourself. Do I have a favorite crisp flavor? Mine's sour cream and chives. What about everyone? I don't know why that sounded funny. Sour cream and chives. Fuck, What's the purple bag again for Doritos? Those are the shit. Though you really can't go wrong with many of them. Too much sour cream and onion though, and then your tongue is peeling off. My glasses once fell in the toilet midstream and I couldn't stop pissing on them. Honestly, you might have cleaned them off a little bit, because piss is kind of sterile, I think. As long as they didn't stay, like, floating in the piss all night, I don't think much bacteria could have got on. And you're good to go. Clear-eyed. My favorite biscuit? Man, I went to... It was a late Mother's Day gift, but I went to a Red Lobster with my mom this weekend, and believe me, I had quite a few of those Cheddar Bay biscuits. They were something else. flaming hot. Bro, I work with chickens, don't tempt me. What if that's all you did? You worked at a facility that specifically farmed chickens to carry the sins of the people. Alright guys, thanks for being here. Click like, click share. I have no idea if it helps or not, but let's pretend it does. I want to get some more people in the stream. Hello from Washington State. Hello, hello. You meant a different kind of biscuit as a British guy. Oh, it was a biscuit like a cookie. A keksa. Aloha, friends. Middle of nowhere stories. I think you're gonna like them. But yeah, if you do join the $10 Patreon to listen to the movie review podcast pinned in the comment there, be sure to leave us a comment to let us know if you like it, if there's anything you find annoying or anything you would rather us change. Like, don't hold back, because, you know, I'd like to keep it going for a while and see what we can do to get better. Okay, first story. My name's Allie. I'm from Las Vegas, and growing up, I was something of a problem child. I hit rock bottom after getting so drunk in my teenage years that I gave myself alcohol poisoning, and I had to go to the hospital to get my stomach pumped. And then when I woke up, I had the single worst hangover of my entire life, and my parents were there. It was a whole thing. Mom just cried. My dad was mad as hell, though, and said that I had two choices. I could go dry out. I could go dry out. Yeah. Okiyasa Nijimura, thank you for the two. Says, have you seen Send Help? Sam Raimi once Evil Dead. Oh, no, I did not. Is that new? I know, I'm planning on this coming Thursday, I think, seeing, what's it called? The Backrooms. Anybody gonna see The Backrooms? I could go... You're going to the Backrooms, the real ones. I could go dry out on my uncle's farm up north, or they'd send me to some Christian sober camp full of born-again weirdos. They didn't have the money to send me to some fancy smanchy rehab center, so those were my two options, and I chose the farm. Technically, Uncle Alan wasn't exactly my uncle. He was more like one of my dad's third cousins, but he'd been living up north on this little ranch for the past 20 years or so, and since he and Dad were close when they were kids, he figured that he could call in a favor. Alan agreed, and so off I went for a whole 2 weeks so I could dry out and learn the meaning of hard work. The ranch was up near a little town called Wild Horse, and to get there, we had to drive into the hills for a few miles before we reached a large green gully, like a dimple in the hills, kind of. And that was my uncle's farm. It wasn't big, but he had plenty growing there. He had a tornado patch and a plot of all kinds of chilies, and then on the other side, he had a big watermelon patch and a whole orchid. If you fart in the back rooms, how long does it linger? That's a good point. What if it just like permanently stained the whole place with a bit of a stink? I mean, it seems like, I don't know. It seems like we had some decent horror movies. The Obsession one was good, and it was literally made by like some skit comedic YouTuber, which is crazy. And then I heard The Backrooms is good. Who else going ham on some dogs tomorrow? Oh, hell yeah. Dog ham. It stays forever and becomes part of the ambiance, yeah. It'd be funny if it like killed the monster inside. Have I seen Project Hail Mary? I still haven't. No, I need to watch it. That's why I started the Patreon, just so people will pay me to see movies. No, I'm just kidding. Opened up all my packs and not a single Greninja in any form. Dang it. Dang it. That's BS. Unlucky world we live in. I wish we lived in the middle of nowhere. It's the dream to be able to afford to do so. Good topic for some scary stories. Yeah, it's... I don't know if I would have the ability to honestly make it out there on my own. I guess I'd learn. What if they had the fart guns for Despicable Me to kill the monsters? That should be the next movie, honestly. It should be Minions versus the Backrooms. He had a tomato patch, a plot for all kinds of chilies, and then on the other side, he had a big watermelon patch and a whole orchard full of apricot trees. It was a really beautiful place, and I started to think that it might be a pretty cool place to dry out for a while. But bearing in mind that we're arriving at night, so as Dad's headlights hit it, I suddenly saw just how run down the house was. It looked like it used to be a nice place, like back when it was built. But by the time I arrived there, it looked bad. There was also a part of me that thought it would be like, "Hey, long time no see, kid." But no, this guy did not seem pleased to see me at all. He and my dad said hi to each other, then I just stood by thinking that I was about to be introduced or something. But my Uncle Alan cuts my dad off as he's speaking and then very sternly tells me to get in the house. Now, I'm kind of stunned that he'd even talk to me like that, especially right in front of my father. But all Dad did was tell me to listen to Alan. Now, this was after sundown too, maybe like 9:30ish, so I started walking towards the lights of the house up in front of me while a total... Old apricot trees, yeah, that does sound nice. Where is everybody? I don't know, I started, I guess, technically early, but it is what it is. What's up, Shorn? How we doing, bro? Anyone paying attention to the Geograph meme subreddit? Oh, the Geography meme subreddit. No, why would anybody... What's going on there? Hi, Joel. A podcast called Grave Roots is using your voice. I just came across it. Dang. Is it like a YouTube channel or something? Grave Roots. What's up, Vivian? We got typical gamer getting a Fortnite skin before GTA 6. At least we know that GTA... Apparently there's not going to be another trailer until about June. Or no. Is it June? June 21st or something for trailer 3 for GTA 6? Which is pretty exciting. I think we got November 21st is the actual release date. This was after sundown too, maybe like 9:30ish, so I started walking towards the lights of the house in front of me while in a total state of shock. I remember thinking how I should have chosen the Christian camp and how at least they'd have been nice to me. And then the first thing I noticed as I walked towards the house was how all the windows had been papered over with old newspapers. I walked inside thinking that I made the second biggest mistake of my life, the first being alcohol poisoning, and then after putting my bag down, it wasn't long before Alan walked in behind me, told me to take my bags upstairs into the guest room. No "hi, how are you," no offering to help me, just grab your crap and get moving. The guest bedroom's window overlooked the front of the house, and it would have made for a... The guest bedroom's window overlooked the front of the house, and it would have made for a nice view if it wasn't papered over. And then just seconds after sitting down in the bed, wondering what the heck I got myself into, I heard Alan suddenly call me downstairs. And that's when he laid down the rules, and they were harsh ones. Basically, it all came down to 3 things. I was going to work, and I was going to do what I was told, and I was forbidden from leaving the house for any reason at all. The first 2 I kind of expected, but not being able to leave the house at all had me thinking, you gotta be kidding me, right? Well, he was not kidding, and if I didn't like it, I was welcome to march my ass back into Wild Horse to catch the bus back to Vegas. And since I didn't have so much as a penny to my name, I was basically a prisoner there. I figured the only thing that'd get me through was going for walks in the orchard or picking ripe watermelons for us to eat. But no, I had to stay inside and either cook, clean, or read. Not because Alan had decided those were my options, but because they were literally... It was a beautiful day here in Vancouver Island. Spent the day digging a bigger pond and planting. Oh, that sounds nice. I'm so confused. How come? Tell us your thoughts. Got some work on a Java 2D platformer game done this weekend. Has the basic code base already, so I use Codex to make some major upgrades. Oh, that's sick. Have you visited Australia? I did, yeah. I visited Perth back in was it 2024 or some shit? I just read chapter 18 of episode 7 of Umaneko, and I feel so jumbled up with knowledge. What's that about? Sounds like a lot. Not because Alan had decided those were my options, but because there was literally nothing else to do. I just cried that first night. I cried myself to sleep, actually, thinking the next 2 weeks were going to be hell on earth. But while I was sure to get a little taste of hell... But while I sure got a little taste of hell, it came much sooner than I was expecting, and it didn't come from Alan. The first day started pretty well, actually, because it was there... Dude, what the fuck is wrong with me? I cannot find a fucking rhythm. The first day started pretty well, actually, because if there was one thing Alan was good at, it was cooking. I got this big breakfast of bacon, eggs, biscuits, and black coffee, and it was all great. But that breakfast wasn't so much a treat as it was fuel for the work that followed. He had me cleaning that house all freaking day, stopping only for an admittedly very good lunch of chicken salad sandwiches. And that was the friendliest Alan got with me. When I asked if he'd grown the tomatoes that we were eating, he said yes. I said they were good, and then he kind of pursed his lips and nodded before we kept on eating in silence. Now, I guess that's how I knew that he didn't completely hate me, but it was clear that he didn't exactly want me there either. And so after lunch, I went back to work to earn my keep. That first day sucked, and the second day was more of the same. But then weirdly, by the end of the third day, I was actually starting to feel kind of at home. I guess it was the psychological effect of the place looking and smelling nice, but I started feeling this weird sense of ownership, and I found a newfound appreciation for sobriety. Alan didn't exactly warm up to me, ever actually, but he did stop being such an a-hole with me once I started to sort of get with the program. But then that night, the third of my stay with him, I realized that there was a lot more to him than met the eye. So remember how I said that my windows were papered over? Well, there was a tiny little gap in one of them between the paper and the frame, meaning that I could look out over the driveway and some of the vegetable patches if I put my eye up real close. Well, that night, I'm lying in bed, not able to sleep, when I heard voices outside the house. I got curious, and so I ended up rolling out of bed and creeping over to the window to see what's going on. Now, the first thing that I saw were these two dark figures, only dimly lit by the lights coming from the ground floor. And then at their feet, there were two big sacks of what looked to be Alan's produce. They looked like they were leaning over and checking out what the sacks held, and then when I heard the sound of the door opening and closing downstairs, the two figures stood up straight and backed off a little, like they were wary of what Alan might do. Now, I couldn't hear exactly what Alan said to them, but once he'd said it, the two figures reached down and picked up the sacks and then walked off into the darkness. It was weird because, while it looked like a fairly innocent exchange, it didn't seem friendly at all. Alan stayed watching them after they'd turned and walked off, almost like he didn't trust them. And I don't think these two guys said a single word of thanks, as they took a heck of a lot of fruit and vegetables, too. It just looked so odd, and I couldn't help but wonder who these two guys were as I drifted off to sleep that night. Now, the next morning, when I asked who the two nighttime visitors were, Alan looked very shifty before claiming that they were his friends. He also said it in a way that suggested that I shouldn't ask him any more questions, and so I decided to leave things at that. And then maybe an hour or two later, I'm peeling potatoes for that night's dinner. Alan announces he's driving into town. Now, he told me the rules still applied, especially when he was gone, and that I wasn't to leave the house for any reason whatsoever. Not unless it was for an absolute life or death emergency. Well, no sooner had he left, and in spite of how much he clearly trusted me not to, I went outside. I mean, can you blame me? The whole outside rule just seemed bizarre at that point. I get that I had to work and stuff to keep my hands and mind occupied, but the idea of not being able to look at all those beautiful trees and the sky, it just seemed ridiculous, you know? Now, I wasn't even considering running off to find drugs or alcohol by that point, so I figured why the heck not, and walked out onto the porch to enjoy the mid-morning sunshine. It was really beautiful out there, and not seeing the sky for about 3 days gave me a real appreciation for being outside again. And it didn't really sink in for me until that day on the porch that Alan had his own little slice of heaven up there in the hills. Assuming that he'd stay in town for a little while, I figured Alan might be gone for 40 to 45 minutes tops, and that gave me at least 20 to 30 minutes to sit out on the porch and enjoy the sunshine before it was back to being a prisoner again. I remember taking a book from Alan's collection, some local history thing that looked like it might be interesting, and then I sat flicking through it until I gave up and started gazing out into the apricot trees. Now, I figured if I got lost in the book, I'd lose track of time, at which point Alan might come home and see me out on the porch, and well, I didn't want that to happen. But then when my Amazon package came, "You're reading too fast, the live stream will be over at this pace." That's true. I was on a bit of a successful tear. Got to see my girlfriend yesterday when I was planning to. Her mom told her she was busy, lol. Her mom told me she was busy, lol. What? She's adorable and made a diamond art thing of a cowgirl boot, meaning my girlfriend. Oh, nice. What a cool girlfriend. They should make more girlfriends. Everybody gets one. Now that I've opened all my packs, now is the best time. Sorting! Lighting them on fire and starting over again. Joel's going to record his voice and load it into AI, then copy and paste the stories from text to speech and record it. I mean, if that's what I was going to do, I would have done it long ago, but that's not what I do, so. It's just, I don't know, AI, no matter how good it gets, it's just like it has like this uncanny valley nature to it that at some point, something along the way is just going to sound yucky, and I just don't even think it's worth that kind of thing. Weird Tree Girl, welcome to the Buttersaw Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you. What do you do if you have too many? Too many what? Girlfriends? I guess you just have to sort them like Pokemon cards and keep them in a little binder. So what's your favorite biscuit? So wait, are biscuits cookies? Did we determine what kind of insane British bullshit you're saying? No, I'm just kidding. Hey Joel, currently heading to McDonald's. What would you usually get there when you go? I know you're on a diet. You know, I just haven't gone to McDonald's in so long, so like, if I were to just go there and like not give a fuck, I mean, I just eat everything. I love chicken nuggets. The big fucking burgers are delicious. I might try that one burger that the CEO barely bit like a piece of foreskin off of. Batsy Girl, thank you for the 5 gifters to Amy Madison, Machu, MBF, Winter Hunter, and Stephanie Baker. Welcome, friends. You now have access to bonus content. Yeah, the human meat from McDonald's is the best. Oh, the arch. The big arch. The big arch raiders. What's up, Charles? How we doing, bro? Ward. Big arch is new and I liked it. That's good. Doesn't taste like human meat at all. Mickey D's ain't the same as it was from the 1990s. I'm sure it's not, man. I mean, everything they can do to, like, save money. There's bonus content where? So there's, like, a playlist on, there's a playlist on YouTube that you can click, and then it's, like, you can join the tiers there. But I would suggest joining over on Patreon. I got that pinned here, just because Patreon... There's a few options. You got early access for $1. You got bonus content for $5, which also gives you the early access. And then we just added a new tier for movie review podcasts. It's $10, but you get all the previous tiers as well for that movie review podcast. We just did our first one. It's The Exorcist, and we talked for like 2 hours about it. So I feel like you guys might find it interesting. I used to cook the fries in beef tallow, and now they use poison. Oh, good. Whatever they have underneath the sink. I'm so broke right now, but I love your content. We'll get that on Padet on Friday. Oh, no worries, my friend. No worries. Thank you. It's all about the shareholders. Food isn't about health. It's about shareholders making profit every year. Over last year, if you're at 13%, considered in the red. Yeah. Unlucky. It's actually so weird that you answer my comments. Never expected you would ever thank you. Oh yeah, no worries. Usually the live streams, if you can make it to it. I mean, there's not that many people ever in it, so I usually eventually respond. That is kind of crazy. They used to cook it in beef tallow. That actually sounds decent for you. That's true. You can just make your own fries in beef tallow if you want, or air fry them or whatever. What's my favorite cookie? Yes. Probably something with peanut butter in it, you know. But I do like the macadamia. Imagine a macadamia nut peanut butter cookie. That'd be pretty yummy. Are you into martial arts? Do you know any? There was a while there where I did jiu-jitsu, you know, but I was also doing like CrossFit at the same time, and it was so exhausting. I like had to quit. And I also kind of like always felt every time we showed up that they never like really warmed us up. We just kind of like went right into like grappling. And if you know jiu-jitsu, the whole point is to like twist your joints and arms and everything to the point that you like tap. And like if you feel pain, you like would tap, right? But you can imagine like if you're not warmed up and somebody just starts yanking on your shit in the attempt to like make you feel pain, then you could potentially injure yourself, and or even worse, be one of the sorry suckers who get fucking like ringworm on your goddamn head, which my one friend did. And once he told me he got ringworm on his head, I'm like, I am not fucking doing this shit anymore. Jujutsu Kaisen. Muay Thai and wrestling, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're a good striker and you're good at wrestling, like if you know boxing and wrestling, you're kind of a dominant force. It's like at that point you don't even really give a shit if someone's like, you want to go, bro? Because like, I think the weirdest thing is like those people that say, you want to fucking go? It's like, yeah, I do. I've been training for that. So let's do it. Let's see what happens. Every time you're live or not, I watch in the morning whenever I'm at work, and past time I've been watching for about 3 to 4 years. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. I was training out back, but my wrist hurts now since I don't use gloves or wraps. Oh, Muay Thai shit? Dude, you gotta wear wrists and wraps. Or you'll like... I mean, you could not do it and just go bare knuckle, but even the bare knuckle people, I think, still wear wraps and stuff. Because otherwise the skin on your knuckles are gonna rip off, and then it comes back like a burn. You're gonna get like scars. And then you're gonna hurt your wrist. Yeah, you gotta wear wraps and shit. Mr. D with the 2 says Apocalypse Now movie review would be awesome. Oh, Apocalypse Now. Yeah, maybe at some point. That's not necessarily like horror, but I did watch that years ago, and it is a good movie. It's like totally unlike anything I've really ever seen. But then as I'm sitting there, just kind of soaking up the scene, I just hit that for no reason. But then as I'm sitting there, just kind of soaking up the scene, I see someone standing in the apricot orchard. I keep wanting to say orchid. Orchard. But then as I'm sitting there, just kind of soaking up the scene, I see someone standing in the apricot orchard, maybe 50 yards away. Apricot trees aren't very tall, at least these ones weren't anyway, and they looked more like big bushes and were wide enough so that someone could kind of hide behind them. At least hide their body anyway. Because as I'm looking through the orchard, I see this pair of legs sticking out from under a big patch of green leaves. They weren't moving either. They were just sort of standing there, and from what I could tell, they were just watching me through a gap in all that greenery. Now, my first thought was that it was one of Alan's friends, maybe even one of the guys who visited the previous night. And so, not wanting to be rude or anything, I raised a hand and gave the person a little wave. Not just to say hello, but to say something like, "I see you watching me there, and it's kinda creepy." Now, I figured they'd either move out of embarrassment that I'd caught them staring, or at least wave back. But they didn't move. They just kept on watching me through the leaves of that apricot tree. We entered a kind of lopsided staring contest with me staring at the tree and him staring back at me through that greenery. And then before long, I started to get a little creeped out. I remembered how frosty the previous night's exchange had been, how Alan had claimed those guys were hers friends. He, him's friends. Oh, what's up, Lewis? Thank you. It is real beef, but paper thin. Hey everyone, I'm joining late. How's it been going? It's going good, Hannah. How you doing? Jiu-jitsu is probably the most practical for most people in terms of self-defense. The rest are more for competition. Well, the nice thing about going to jiu-jitsu too is like you can show up on day one and like immediately get into like basically what you would experience in a competition / like real life. You know what I mean? Because the whole point is just to like put you through the ringer, and then if someone gets you in a grapple, you tap and then you're done. Whereas, like, if it was a striking sport, like, you couldn't really take strikes to the face as a first day person. So you'd be stuck in, like, karate or those other ones where all you do are, like, mixed martial arts classes where you just do, like, 9,000, like, punches with your left hand. And then once you do 9,000 of those, then you do 9,000 punches with your right. And it's just so fucking boring. You know, I've done that in the past. Is my AC working now? Yeah, thankfully we got that fixed. Hopefully, no more issues. Currently listening to my 70-year-old father playing the tambourine and rocking out to Eminem. That's awesome. I remembered how frosty the previous night's exchange had been, how Alan had claimed those guys were his friends, but I didn't believe him. And then realizing the person I was staring at might have been less than friendly, I got up off that porch swing and then walked back inside. Dude, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with my brain. Then realizing the person I was staring at might have been less than friendly, I got up off that porch swing and then walked back inside the house and went upstairs to watch from my little spy spot. Now, Alan returned not long after, and then after a little bit of lunch, we each kept on working until dinner time. I wanted so badly to ask Alan about those visitors, especially the one who appeared in the orchard that afternoon. But as you're well aware, doing so would have been an admission that I hadn't followed the rules, which was completely off the table for me. Now, I'd only just started to feel settled, so the last thing I wanted to do was piss Alan off so bad that he actually kicked me out, at which point I'd have to walk the entire 10 miles back into Wild Horse, which I definitely didn't want to do. And so, without so much as a word about it, I went to bed hoping that he'd take another trip into town at one point so I could go for a little stroll in the orchard. Now, I didn't want to bump into whoever had been staring at me, that's for sure, but that's just where my head was. Now anyway, that night, I remember waking up to go to the bathroom, and then when I got back, I heard voices outside again. I went to the window, and then looked through the crack between the paper and the frame again. Just like the previous night, those two shadowy figures were standing there, but without any produce at their feet. There was a skinny, taller one and a fatter one, and to me, it looked like Alan was trying to convince the two men of something. I just couldn't figure out what. And then the next thing I knew, Alan was stepping off the porch and making aggressive-looking gestures towards them. I figured they might back off like they did the last night, because I was pretty sure those guys were sort of scared of Alan based on the way they acted when he walked outside to greet them. But this time, their reaction was the complete opposite. They didn't back up. They moved forward, fast. And after knocking Alan off of his feet, they started kicking him again and again and again. I was terrified, and the only thing I wanted to do was hide under the bed until everything had stopped. But I knew that wasn't an option. I ran downstairs to the kitchen to grab the big carving knife. Carving life. Shock, shock, shock my dog, I can't stop, 9,000 watts all in her top. I don't actually know how that song goes, but I see that posted here and there. I saw that he got subpoenaed for some shit. Whatever. Currently reaching an hour of the treadmill with an incline of 12. This recording is so much. Thank you. Also give me a number from 1 to 5, please. We'll do 4. You're playing Apex? Nice. How goes it? Yeah, but what's the point of the subpoena? I don't really understand. Is it like... What is the charges there? Just out of curiosity. That crap he did in Cuba. Yeah, but didn't all he do in Cuba was just go to like a 5-star hotel and just be like, it's not that bad, guys? While the rest of the country was in like a blackout. My first day of jiu-jitsu, I got humbled real quick. I'm 6'5" and can bench 200 plus, but the instructor was like 5'9", maybe 5'10", skin and bones, but he flipped me and put me in a chokehold in seconds. Yeah, it's like some of the skinniest, like, but like flexible dudes are like some of the most insane at jiu-jitsu. You guys have weird image structure there, I'll give you that. Personally, that's too chilly for me. Oh, what are you talking about? Shocking his dog, Chloe. I don't think he has a dog named Chloe. I think it's Kaya. I don't know. I mean, even if he did shock it, like, I would have more respect for him if he just said he did, because that's how he trains his dog, you know? Like, it's not great, but... I mean, I don't know why he had to go through the lengths of, like, lying to everyone. I guess because, I don't know, maybe it's just harder to admit that kind of stuff. Or ever admit to anything. Lynn, thank you for the 1 gifter to Simply John. Welcome, John. Why are we demonizing Cuba? I don't know. It just seems to be, like, on their next list of places they want to invade, I guess. I mean, I'm not on either side of really any of it. We're just, like, citizens, right? Everyone always thinks they have to, like, choose a side in some abstract thing, but think about how many times you've chosen a side in the past, whether it's your own government or some foreign one or some, you know, weird little left-right divide nonsense. It's like, it just happens either way. You know, you're still just going to sit there and jerk off on your computer like every other day. Like, it's all just stupid. You might as well just look out for yourself. Plus, it's colder in my room since I got my fan running. I was a defensive midfielder in soccer. The element of surprise was such an advantage. I bet it was, Justin. Justin, you don't collect Pokemon cards, do you? I've been drinking alcohol, though, so that might also be a factor. Yes, be careful. Whoever doesn't align with the NWO, whoever isn't being manipulated by the K-ball. Yo, what's up, bro? I'm with the K-ball. The Buttersock Cabal. We're going to change it to that now. What's up, Mandy's? What's up, Eurasia? Good to see you. You did actually tell my parents got rid of them, taking them to court. You should, honestly. It seems like every parent couldn't... I mean, it's weird. Like, I feel like a lot of parents knew about, like, collecting baseball cards and the value of those, but somehow they just take your cards from your childhood and throw them in the burn pile. I ran downstairs to the kitchen to grab the big carving knife that Alan kept in his knife block. And then after running outside onto the porch, I pointed the knife and yelled at the two men to leave him alone. Now close up, these were the two ugliest SOBs I had ever laid eyes on. I don't want to go guessing and saying that they were inbred, but they sure as hell look like it. They backed off a little once they saw the knife, but neither guy ran off. Instead, the skinny one smiled and pulled a gun on me, and while the other one just sort of laughed. I didn't drop the knife or anything, and I didn't back off either, but a part of me was convinced that I was about to die, and I started shaking like a leaf. Yet for a reason unknown at that moment, the tall, skinny one didn't shoot. And as Alan crawled towards me, and I picked him... Give me baby. Is that what they said in The Hills Have Eyes? Am I my friend sleeping on an air mattress and it feels like a waterbed? This isn't fun. Oh my god. Air mattresses are like... I mean, they're not bad if you just need something to fucking pass out on, but holy shit. I just imagine, 96 degree Vegas hot weather laying on a fucking air mattress just seems... And like nothing in between you and like your sweaty body and the fucking weird rubbery plastic bullshit that's inflated underneath you. Just found out the gender of your baby. I'm gonna be a girl dad. Hey, congratulations. I'm a smaller girl with 2nd degree black belt in Shisai Rui Aikibudo, combination of judo, aikido, and karate. People think I can't fight, but I've taken out full-grown men since I was 13. That's sick. The 2x4s under my bed are all broken. From you, like, karate chopping them. I'm in the UK, we rarely get heat waves. This isn't fun time or not. Yeah, that sounds miserable. Was I ever a Boy Scout? You know, I don't think so. Not that I remember. Who knows? Maybe I was a full-on Eagle Scout and I just blacked it all out. We had this one scout leader. His name was Jared Fogel Epstein. He was really cool. He taught me how to love myself. Lynn, thank you for the 5 gifters to Linachu, Color of Thunder, Carolyn SM7, Barney Brady, and Pajamakin. Welcome back. Or welcome to. You now have access to bonus content. As Alan crawled towards me and picked himself up, he told me to get inside in a voice that sounded like he was in a lot of pain. Now his whole thing had been do as I say, but I knew the moment that I was inside, those 2 guys were going to keep on kicking the crap out of him, or they were just going to shoot him. It didn't occur to me at the time that if they wanted to shoot either of us, they would have just done it. But like I said, I had no idea what those guys wanted or who they even were, so I didn't know what to expect. And once Alan was back on his feet and moving again, I followed him back towards his front door, taking little sideways crab steps until we were almost back inside again. Now I yelled that we were going to call the cops, but both guys just started laughing again. Alan didn't have a phone and they knew it, so they were still laughing as they turned and walked off into the darkness. But not before one of them said, and in a way that made my skin crawl, "I'll be seeing you real soon, little girl. Real soon." And when we got back inside, I was mad at Alan, yelling, "What the hell is going on? Who were those people?" But he came right back at me with the same energy, yelling, "What the hell were you thinking? I told you not to go outside." Now, it took me a second to figure out how he knew. But then, everything went down. It took me a second to figure out how he knew. But then things made sense. The guy who had been watching me in the orchard that time, it was either one of those guys or someone who knew them, and they'd gone and mentioned it to Alan. Now, I had no idea how this was all connected to him getting beat up, but it was very obviously connected somehow. And so I remember getting this overwhelming How old am I? I'm going to be 36 here in like 2 weeks. Pretty crazy. Have I been bumping the new Drake album? You know, I haven't even listened to it. I guess I always say I'm not like a Drake fan, but then I find that like some of his hits always seem to kind of like sound pretty good. Got the Unk Energy birthday stream. Yeah, let's double check. My birthday is on the 4th, which is Thursday, so I will be streaming on the 3rd. So yeah, we'll be having a birthday stream. Hi Joel, your paranormal ghost stories seem to get the most views. There are reasons why you don't do those often. I guess it's just like not as available as the other ones. And honestly, I think sometimes like holding off to like release them kind of creates a degree of anticipation or like scarcity. So maybe it adds a little bit more weight to each of them, but I think I'll probably try to like get as many as I can here going forward. Stopped listening to rap in G high school. You know, whatever you want to do. I don't give a shit. Who knows, maybe one day you'll like it again. Music is just sort of like a seasonal thing, you know. Got any plans for Memorial Day? Yeah, tomorrow I'm just going to be grilling with my family, and my brother and my nephew is coming over, so that'll be fun. Could you be a rapist, a rap star? Nah. I feel like you got to be good at freestyling to be a rapist, and I'm just not much of a freestyle rapist. Your birthday's the 7th. Nice. You got any plans? So I remember getting this overwhelming feeling. Don't poop on my talents. I mean, I guess that's true. I saw someone today mention, like, what if Michael Jordan, back in, like, his prime, suddenly got, like, amnesia and forgot that he was, like, a basketball superstar, but everybody else didn't forget, so then he's working at McDonald's as, like, some middle management person. He's like, can I take your order? And, like, Michael Jordan, what are you doing here? And he's like, I don't know who you're talking about, man. What do you mean? You're a NBA MVP, bro. And so I guess you kind of maybe have to just look at yourself like that, where you have so much incredibly untapped potential for like a particular skill that all that's required is to just have an interest in it and like a pursuit. And who knows, maybe you'll get there. Maybe one day I'll be the world's greatest rapist. Is Memorial Day in the United States the same as Remembrance Day in Canada? And if so, what do you guys do on November 11th? I don't think we have any holidays on November 11th. I think that's when the bad guys blew up the towers, so we try to forget that day. But Memorial Day, yeah, is sort of like a remembrance of like people who died. Yeah. Eastbound and Down review coming soon. Eastbound and Down is pretty fucking goated, bro. I love that show, and it's weird because it actually like continues to get good. And 11/11 is Veterans Day. Oh, okay, well, there you go. I can't believe they attacked us on Veterans Day. That's ridiculous. How disrespectful. So I remember getting this overwhelming feeling of, oh crap, I messed up. I just didn't know why I'd messed up so bad. All I could do was apologize as Alan ranted and raved about how he'd warned me not to go outside. He mentioned something about papering over the windows too, and how he did it so they wouldn't see me. I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad. It was more like pleading, but I started asking Alan who they really were, because they were quite obviously not friends of his, but also asking him why the hell he'd let me stay there if I wasn't safe. Now, I didn't think that he could get any madder, but when I asked him that last thing, he exploded and said the only reason that he'd done my dad the favor was because he said I'd die otherwise. He said things would have been fine had I just followed the rules, and while I don't entirely believe that to be true, I definitely accelerated whatever was coming by showing myself like I did. It was just a whirlwind of emotion in the moment. Now, first off, I was mad at my dad for choosing Alan's farm of all places. And what the actual F was Alan thinking in not letting my dad know that he was being extorted by some kind of redneck mafia, it seemed like. I'd have known. I'd have chosen that freaking Bible camp in a heart. Hey, Delia. What's up, dude? If I'd have known, I'd have chosen that freaking Bible camp in a heartbeat. But I had no idea what was in store for me, and I guess my dad didn't either, or he'd never had wanted me there in the first place. Now, I never found out exactly who those guys were, but then again, Alan didn't really know either. All he said was that he showed up at that farm one night and gave him a choice. Provide them, or they showed him. Fuck. What's up, Suspector? How we doing, bro? Joel is a Geminian, a Jebedian. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Michael. I'm doing my best. Everyone in here is a Gemini, you just don't even know it. All he said was that they showed up at the farm one night and gave him a choice. Provide them with food every so often, or they'd burn it all down. Then, giving the nightly visitors what they wanted kept them from stealing more than they got, at least for a while anyway. They never saw eye to eye, but the way Alan saw it, it was a price that he had to pay to live in his own little... I don't know why this is such a struggle, bro. There's something about, like, the phonetic flow of the words that I just, like, cannot fucking find a rhythm. You're a Sagittarius. So what is your alter ego like? I guess it's just super, super insatiably horny. I don't know. Basically, I run around with a big mallet and just smush people's heads. Wearing clown makeup. It's me, Jolie. They never saw eye to eye, but the way Alan saw it, it was the price that he had to pay to live in his own little slice of heaven, and much more preferable than starting a blood feud with a bunch of cousin-loving son of a bitch. God damn it. They never saw eye to eye, but the way Alan saw it, it was the price that he had to pay to live in his own little slice of heaven, and much more preferable than starting a blood feud with a bunch of cousin-loving sons of bitches, as he put it. Which brings me to the second thing that had my head so whacked out, and that's why Alan and the visitors had gotten into their little altercation. So on the third night, the visitors came to collect the fruit and vegetables, right? But Alan said that he figured they weren't happy with what he'd given them. Then on that afternoon, when I docked her penis. Have you guys seen that, like, meme on Instagram when there's, like, a cat, and then someone has, like, a little reaction gif at the bottom, and it says, like, Mr. Penis, and then they added, like, a woman one that's Mrs. Boobs? Stuff like, little things like that make me really appreciate life. Thinking about trying the Nordic diet. What's the Nordic diet? The Nordic diet emphasizes seasonal, locally sourced whole foods from Scandinavian countries, similar to the Mediterranean diet. It centers on plant-based foods, seafood, and whole grains, but noticeably swaps olive oil for canola oil and features native berries and root vegetables. So you're eating a lot of fish, sounds like. That sounds good. Have you got any submissions regarding drugs, specifically European-based ones? Cocaine is so rampant here, so easily accessible, that every person has at least one coke-related story. I mean, I guess it's the same here, too. We definitely had stories related to drugs and people taking them or getting near, like, fentanyl and getting, like, ODing or some shit. I live in Michigan, so all the food's here as it is. Can you send memes? Say no to save your sanity. I don't think you can send memes in the chat here. Nordic diet includes seals and whale blubber. Exactly. Are you Sta Brewberries? Are you Sta Brewberries? I'm not really certain what you mean by that. Then on that afternoon, when I took it upon myself to sit out on the porch swing, one of the visitors spotted me after coming to steal extras. To me, that was an innocent if not fairly creepy encounter, but to the visitors, it meant that Alan had something new to offer them instead of fruit and vegetables. Myself. Obviously, when asked if they could take me away with them for a couple of nights, Alan said hell no. And then when the discussion got so fierce he insulted them, they attacked him. And that explained why the guy didn't shoot me when I appeared with a knife. They wanted to take me alive. I remember that full-body, terror-stricken, this cannot be happening sort of feeling, where I had to drag myself back from the brink of a panic attack. And then once I'd gathered my thoughts, only one of them stuck in my head, and that's how we needed to get the hell out of there, pronto. But not only was Alan in no condition to drive, at least until a couple of painkillers had taken effect, but it wasn't safe for us to drive at night. Not with the visitors hanging around and expecting such an escape attempt. And the best thing to do was to just stay put until morning. Now I'm losing my crap at this point, saying, what are they? Effing vampires? But Alan said no. They were just men, and that I should just go get his rifle out of the closet up in his room. We turned off all the lights, and then once Alan was able to walk around and shoulder his gun, we patrolled the house after peeling off all the newspaper from the windows. It was the scariest night of my whole life because it really sunk in for me that there are things much worse than death, and being carted off by those inbred freaks would have been a fate worse than death than dying. You do drugs, it's called an antidepressant. Does it work? What about going for like a jog? You could do that instead. Donkey or Starbies? I only support local shops, Justin. I'm not an evil capitalist, chauvinist pig man. Such... pig dog. I'm not a pig dog. I don't know. Basically, if you have any fun at all, you're evil. That's my old motto. Antidepressants. RFK plows through the wall. That'd be funny. Hey, you shouldn't be taking those. Those are for basically if you want to be go insane and shoot up a place. What made you decide to first start reading stories? I just thought nobody really did it, and I wanted to have success on YouTube, and I thought this was a niche that nobody did, but then I stumbled across all sorts of readers, all sorts of frickin' readers, and then I've been picking them off one by one. We wouldn't need SRIs if they just stopped poisoning all the food. Is that true? I don't even know. I just try to... I don't know. I am not a pro antidepressant guy unless you're like in a position like I can understand if you're coming out of like one of the most traumatic experiences of your life and you gotta maybe take something to kind of just calm yourself down from being, suicidal or something or worse. But I only think it would be beneficial in the acute sense. Like it's really important to like taper off that kind of stuff as soon as you can. I believe that's my personal opinion, but I'm not a doctor. Don't, talk to your doctor or whatever the fuck. Talk to your local witch shaman. I need SSRIs because my body does not make serotonin. Really? It just doesn't make it. Where does it come from? Is it drip fed? Isn't serotonin, or maybe it's just the receptors. What about like in your stomach? Do you think maybe it could be like a gut biome type issue? Just hypothetically. Take Paxil, it's bad for my cognition, but it keeps me stable enough to stay out of jail or straitjacket. Alright, yeah, I mean, I guess if it's that bad, I mean, listen, I don't know anybody's life. It could be crazy in there. I lowered my SSRI dosage since I don't have the same trauma going on. Definitely seems like one you want to talk to them about tapering off. I think I've told you stories, though, about a friend of mine who got on Ativan for sleep, and then he became like very, very hyper addicted to it, and then had to do this like water taper to get off of it, where like he would cut the pill, and then like put it into a powder, and then put it in water, mix it together thoroughly, and then slowly take out bits of the water to like taper him off, because that was the only way to like constitute it or whatever, and taper off without having like severe withdrawals. I don't know if you guys have been on like any of those anti-psych meds or the psych meds that give you serious withdrawal. I want to take oxycodone and just want to see what happens. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that shit, because that's sounds like a life of constipation. Never heard of the water taper. Yeah, you can look the water taper up on YouTube. It seems to be, I mean, I don't know. Doctors just hand shit out willy-nilly, man. I have no respect for a lot of those ones. And being carted off by those inbred freaks would have been a fate worse than dying. Thankfully, they didn't come back that night, I guess because they were rounding up reinforcements, probably for a return visit. But if they did show up again, I was long gone, because Alan drove me into Wild Horse with a shotgun on his lap at the very break of dawn. Now I thought that I might cry with relief, but I barely even breathed as we drove through those hills, thinking at any moment Alan's truck was going to start getting shot at by people on both sides of the road. I guess the adrenaline only wore off once I was on a bus down to a place called Elko, but even after a sleepless night, I still couldn't rest my eyes enough to fall asleep, and all I could really do was cry. I mean, the fact that I was riding on a bus didn't help, but I think even if I got a motel and a comfortable bed, what happened that previous night would have had me lying there wide awake, wondering what the hell I just escaped from. And the aftermath was obviously messy, but much more boring and depressing compared to the stuff that I just told you about. Dad actually didn't believe me at first, and thought that I might have actually escaped as a way of getting out of rehab. By the time... Why no pole, no mo? What do you want to ask? I can put it in. I take an antidepressant for its restless leg syndrome. My brain is dopamine deficient. Dopamine deficient? How do they even measure that, though? Do they have to, like, take spinal fluid or something? I just feel like there's so many, like, guesstimations from doctors just kind of... Like, where are, like, the byproducts that they can measure within the blood? How long will I be live for? Probably another, like, 2 hours here. I got misdiagnosed for OCD, almost died from specialists, sent to a mental ward, all because I needed vitamins. My therapist and top psychologist, who was a friend, figured it out. I have wondered sometimes whenever people's bodies are like vitamin deficient, do we go into these modes where we just like overeat like crazy because we're just like completely deficient in one particular thing? And then the second that we consume the right vitamin, our body just sort of like chills out as far as our hunger goes. You like last week's suggestion about who has seen a dead body? I guess it's a bit of a weird one. It's not that weird, I guess. Like, I appreciate where you're coming from, but why don't we ask another one? Because I don't want the first thing when people come in to see, like, have you seen a dead fucking human? Would you eat them? The West is like, let's feed y'all processed food and then give you antidepressants to counter the crap we're making you ingest. Right? Yeah, I mean, that's what we exist as, is just like guinea pigs for every form of like big farms, big pharma, big toilet paper, big poop. They want us to just buy all the toilet paper up. And we could just get a bidet to power wash our butthole. It is strange how people like don't like big pharma, but then also simultaneously will defend it for other things. It's just abstractly odd to me. By the time he did finally believe me, he was mad as hell at Alan for not telling him what was going on there. I get the misunderstanding, especially if my dad was telling Alan how I was on death's door, but it was one hell of a thing to suddenly find myself in the middle of... But it was one hell of a thing to suddenly find myself in the middle of, and just days after I almost drank myself to death. Mom later said that Dad drove up to Wild Horse again to confront him, but found no one home when he arrived at the house. All he found was a bunch of broken windows and empty shotgun shells on the front porch. Now, he reported both to local law enforcement, but never heard back about it. What's a bidet? Oh, shut up, Justin. It's kind of like a water fountain, but with your toilet, you can drink from it. He reported both to local law enforcement, but he never heard back about it. He took a brief look inside, and the fact that he didn't see any blood anywhere gives me hope that Alan is still alive someplace. But I fear his little slice of heaven up there in the hills of northern Nevada... But I fear his little slice of heaven up there in the hills of northern Nevada belongs to someone else now. Dude, that was a pretty crazy story, honestly. Like, just the pacing, this, you know, everything. Like, that was pretty fucking interesting. I think. What do you guys think? Probably one of the better ones we've had in a while. Joel, you say it like apricot. Don't I say apricot? Potato type shit. You heard me? It's a cot made specifically for apes. Do you ever think you should read your diary and wouldn't even know it was your diary? I never had a diary. I feel like I'd like to have one, but I guess I could just kind of keep track of it in my head, of things I've done. If you read my diary, you will die, Irie. I only take one med, by the way, just the one pill of antidepressants. Everything else I deal with naturally. Yeah, I don't know, man. Dear Diary, today we had meatloaf for dinner. Yeah, it's like about as far as I would make it into most of them. Dear Diary, do girls really waste their time doing this all day, every night, before bed? You can have one Pradeep would make its own YouTube channel. Will read it to us. Yeah. What a cat. I wasn't really paying attention, to be honest. Sounded like another one of those stories that'd be a lot less scary if they had a gun. Which I think they did have a gun. They just, for some reason, he went out without it. I don't know. Have you noticed that an update on YouTube has made the thumbnails look bigger? Maybe your Google Chrome or whatever is like zoomed in, you know what I mean? Are they bigger? Let's see. If you hold control and like zoom in with your mouse, maybe that's it. Oh, yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, the thumbnails are taking up like 2. Like if you're looking at the videos portion, normally it's like 3 videos in like the top row. But now it's like, that's weird. What if I keep zoom? Oh yeah, if I zoom out to 75%, then it switches back to 3. Wait a second, let's go to 100 and then do full screen. Okay, full screen is still 3, but yeah, you're right. It does seem to be bigger, which is odd. Hey, diary, it's me again. And then you go to turn the page and they're just stuck together with some sort of foreign sticky substance. Topamax can give you kidney stones, also reduces the effectiveness of birth control. I don't know, man. I just feel like then people on birth control forever, like, I've always been curious of the long-term effects on that as well. And there's so much shit, man. It's just like weird to me. It's like everybody will be like on Big Pharma's ass related to like pain medication, which is understandable, you know, the negative effects of that over a period of time. But then so trusting of all the other stuff, whether it's like psych medication or hormonal influences and all this kind of stuff. I don't know, man. It's just, all of it's just terrifying. Trazodone a bit, but it nearly gave me a heart attack. Yeah, fuck, dude. Does anyone else pay attention to the stories in the streams? I hope not. I hope they don't, just so that whenever it goes live, they will listen again. Blood clots increase with aneurysms. Yeah, what the fuck? Hey, Joel. I've been a fan for the longest time now, and I always thought that it'd be kind of cool to send a story in. But then, since that also means some terrible and frightening thing has to happen to me, I'm always kind of glad that I don't have one worthy of submission, you know? But then, after going through my grandpa's old box of keepsakes, rest in power, Grandpa, I found an old letter written by a man whose name I'd only ever heard of in passing, that of my great-great-great-grandpa, Joseph. Now, I didn't know that much about him at the... Joseph Padet. How do you say this one? How do you say? Padet. Joseph Padet. His grandfather, his great-great-great-grandfather, Joseph Stalin. Since I'm a Joel Force cop now in the Buttersock Secret Force, do I get a gun? You're supposed to bring your own gun to work. Dear Diary, today I learned about names. There's so many types of birth control pills and other pills for a reason. It took me 8 years to find a balance. Not easy. Yeah, I have no fucking clue, man. And that's the weird thing, is just like most of it just really seems like doctors having no fucking clue what to do either. They're just like, yeah, you're a guinea pig. We'll just fucking throw whatever the fuck at a dartboard. Hope for the best. And then by that point, like, what negative effects have, like, befallen your body that you don't even realize? Mixing and matching all of these little M&Ms. Xavier, love you too, bro. Good to see you. Joel, when the story writer is addressing you, why don't you ever respond? Hey, Joel. Hey, story writer. I don't want them to get too excited. Otherwise, what if I show up at their house? But then after going through my grandpa's old box of keepsakes, rest in power, Grandpa, I found an old letter written by a man whose name I'd only ever heard of in passing, that of my great-great-great-grandpa, Joseph Padet. Now, I didn't know that much about him before I read the letter, and I had to have my grandma kind of confirmed what it was before I could be certain of it. But after reading through it all, I realized why my grandpa kept it around, and why he didn't take it out of its plastic wallet much, especially around us kids. And then, rather than just describe it all, I figured that I'd just type it out, word for word, and maybe see what you guys think for yourself. It was dated July 17th, 1851, to my dear friend Robert. I must first convey my most sincere gratitude for your kind recommendation of Tremont. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I don't know. All the English pronunciation. There's a website called Forvo, if you guys want to check it out. forvo.com. where people upload pronunciations of like names and places and local, and it's always like based on like local, and you can sort by, you know, do you want to hear what it sounds like in Spanish or German or blah, you know what I mean? So you can find the specific one, but the English ones are saying Padet or Padet. I heard YouTube has told their employees that they could have voluntary quitting because of AI. What if AI on YouTube source code is messing up with the platform? I heard YouTube has told employees they could have voluntary quitting because of AI. What is voluntary quitting? Like getting fired by AI, or what are you saying? Tremont. Is it Tremont? I don't even fucking know. Tremont. I used to work for political campaigns. Right before calling, I would YouTube the name pronunciation. Honestly, got very happy to see a John or Joe because people get very mad messing with name. Yeah, check out Forvo. Forvo is genuinely the best way to like overcome that without worrying about. Because the worst part is, forever, years and years, you know, they would have robots pronouncing like names on YouTube. Like, why even upload if it's just like an incorrect robot pronunciation? They must have just like had bots uploading all of it. Hey Joe, been a long-time listener. Really started a new job as a forensic autopsy technician for the medical examiner's office in Western Michigan. Your videos kept me going. Nice, dude. Thank you so much. Hope things are going well with a new job. I must first convey my most sincere gratitude for your kind recommendation of Tremont House in the port of Galveston. The accommodations proved altogether comfortable and commodious. Oh, Jesus Christ. Commodious ass motherfucking. Proved to be very commodious. Oh my God. Bottle of Chablis. Oh, there's too many goddamn words. Going backwards in time. Oh my God. Commodious, and then what's this? Chablis. But then for some dumbass reason, like, Forvo will just like shut down. Like, as you're using it, Forvo will just say like, bad gateway, bad gateway. Like, what the fuck is that? What's up, Alyssa? How we doing? How's everybody doing? Anything cool going on? I'm planting more strawberries, onions, potatoes, carrots, peas, tomatoes, leeks, a few others. Hams, bams, and natas and haters. Sea days. I'm British. Anyone else here? I think so. We got some British. Chablis. The accommodations proved altogether comfortable and commodious. The excellent bottle of Chablis, which you so thoughtfully procured in advance, was much enjoyed, and I am given to understand that the faithful Francine continues to attend to dear Evelyn with every care during my absence. Your steadfast friendship remains among the choicest blessings which a merciful Providence has seen fit to bestow upon me in this life. Yet I regret that this must be the brightest note sounded, and I don't even understand. Yet I regret that this might be the brightest note sounded in my present correspondence, for the tidings I bear are of the most grave and sorrowful nature. You will recall that shortly after Christmas last I received a most generous offer of employment from the governor of Texas. I informed you at the time that the position was one of medical residency, and while that statement was in and of itself... So when is the podcast on Patreon? Answer me or cry. When is the podcast on? It's up now, yeah. If you click the link that I have pinned, it's $10, but you can listen to it now. And you can tell us what you think of the crew. There's 3 of us in total talking. Commodius, the Greek god of toilets. Brother Sir Crapius. I informed you at the time that the position was one of medical residency, and while that statement was in it itself truthful, I fear I have not been altogether candid with you. Though my secondary duty was indeed to advise and assist the physicians of San Antonio, my principal charge carried me far beyond that settled place, into regions I am certain you would have strongly counseled me to avoid, the scattered settlements of the Texas frontier. You have expressed your views upon the subject of westward expansion with such frequency and force that I may safely presume you know them to be ever present in my mind. I respect those convictions deeply. Yet I have seen with my own eyes a clear, pressing, and most urgent want of competent medical men in those distant outposts, not only for the preservation of the settlers themselves, but for the safety of us all. For in this age of steam and rail, the maladies of even our most remotest, 3 Joels, yeah, it's just going to be myself 3 times over. How many stories so far? This is story 2 of 3. Also, did you hear that they were rebooting Vine? Doesn't that sound terrible? If they reboot Vine, what are they even going to do with it? They're like 10,000 years behind all the short-form content stuff, you know what I mean? Unless they really do just want to do the 7-second thing and just keep it exactly at that. I mean, TikTok technically was the Vine reboot, but I thought the creator of Vine rebooting it. Let's check. Sort of, but not Vine's original creator directly. The current Vine reboot is called Divine. It's backed by Jack Dorsey, Twitter's co-founder, and built by Evan Henshaw Plath, an early Twitter employee. It reportedly brings back 6-second looping videos, including 100,000 plus archived Vine clips, and bans AI-generated content. Oh. The actual Vine co-founder, Don Hoffman, already tried a Vine-style reboot years ago with Byte, which launched in 2020, so the clean answer is Vine is being spiritually rebooted as Divine, but it's not the original Vine app coming back under Don Hoffman. Bring back MySpace. Exactly. Doing the late transmission fluid service, so I got the migraine from Hades. I need a Nurtec, a Red Bull, and an Opana. Have you ever seen The Wind? Is that a movie? Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it'll be good. Thank you for the blessing. Thank you, thank you. For in this age of steam and rail, the maladies of even our remotest neighbors may swiftly become our own. I speak chiefly of pestilence and other contagious distempers. While I fully understand the hesitation of my colleagues, I could not escape the question, if not I, then who? I arrived in San Antonio in the spring following a dire and dusty journey from the coast, and upon my arrival I was immediately struck by the brilliance of the old Spanish cathedral of San Fernando, which rises over the main plaza. Surrounding it was a curious mix of ancient adobe homes and newer, more contemporary-looking buildings, and while the streets teemed with both Tejanos and great many European settlers, among them were a handful of soldiers and odd Comanchero. And the odd Comanchero. Oh my god. Tejanos. What are these stories about? They're middle of nowhere. If you ever have a question about that, it actually says in the title of the stream. The stupid neighbor found out the hard way, had to listen to the pipe snakes unclog their toilet over 2 days. They flooded their hallway going all the way outside to us. Oh, yikes. What happened? And while the streets teemed with both Tejanos and a great many European settlers, among them were a handful of soldiers and the odd Comanchero trader. Those were the men who caught my attention the most, not only for their strange manner of dress, but for the surety. Those were the men who caught my attention the most, not only for their strange manner of dress, but for the surety with which they carried themselves. They aren't natives, of course, but Tejano Spanish who forged trading arrangements with certain bands of less aggressive Comanche. They are fearsome to behold, and appear as men who've seen things of great magnificence and great terror, and I despaired to look at them. For it was the plains on which they lived, fought, traded, and died that I myself was destined for. And after a night spent in lodgings much more humble than Tremont House, myself and some hired guns rode westward onto the open plains toward an isolated settlement known as Fort William. We rode for 2 days and 1 night, camping on the open prairie, and beyond the ring of older settlements, the land opened up into a vast rolling sea of grass dotted with mesquite. Trader Joe's. Trader Joel's. Welcome, have a look at my wares. Or HTML code that prevented people from right-clicking to steal your graphics. Damn. When do you guess the Iran bullshit will end? I don't know. I have heard rumblings, and this could be incorrect rumblings. It's only speculation with it. Basically, an angel told me in my head, an angel told me in my head that usually the news that you get from the Iran conflict is usually 2 to 3 weeks behind schedule, and that things are actually going quite well, that there is a progress to whatever it is they're trying to defeat, and that their neighbors, Iran's neighbors, seem to be quite angry with them, especially for how many they've attacked, and so they're all kind of coming down upon Magog, or whatever you want to call them, like pretty swiftly. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll be over by the summertime, and we'll be able to comfortably play Grand Theft Auto 6 without a single fear of a nuke falling on our head. Be pretty cool. We made a deal, a beautiful deal, probably the best deal. It was a deal to make gas prices $9,000 a gallon. We went into a live chat once where people were betting on something interesting. Ooh, Grand Theft Auto. Nip, have you never played GTA before? Joel says schedule weird. He's different than us. He must be canceled. No one panic. Schedule? Oh, I say schedule. Yeah. I'm a softie. Okay. 370 to 389 a gallon in deep South Texas. Yeah, it's like $1 more here. Pretty crazy. And then I hear it's even $6 over in California. I don't know, man. Okay, anyways, we rode for 2 days, 1 night. What am I even doing? After a night spent in lodgings much more humble than Tremont House, myself and some hired guns rode westward onto the open plains toward an isolated settlement known as Fort William. We rode for 2 days and 1 night, camping on the open prairie and beyond the ring of older settlements. The land opened up into a vast rolling sea of grass, dotted with mesquite and prickly pear, with a horizon so wide it seems to swallow a man's very sense of scale and proportion. We made a good progress the first day, albeit beneath a fierce sun, and paused at a spring-fed creek among a small party of traveling settlers. The night was spent under the stars with a low fire, the coyotes singing their eerie chorus. Chorus. Alright, I don't know what the fuck. You paid $5.39 a gallon for your gas yesterday. Stupid car needs the expensive stuff. Oh yeah, fuck. How much is a pound of beef in Pennsylvania? Guess it depends on who you buy from, but I'll give you a practical Pennsylvania range. So regular ground beef is $6.50 to $8 a pound. Ground chuck leaner ground beef is $7 to $9. Cheap sale price could be $5 to $6 per pound. Steaks often $10 to $15 per pound, depending on the cut. Local farm and grass-fed beef often $8 to $12 a pound, unless buying bulk. There you go. Have you seen The Pit? No, I heard The Pit was a fucking terrible show, so I'm not gonna watch The Pit, and I don't really give a fuck. The night was spent under the stars with a low fire, the coyotes singing their eerie chorus while we kept watch against ever-present threats. The journey tested both our horses and constitution, and the second day brought a drier country still, with the desolate distance shimmering in the heat. We rode for hours until at least the modest stockade of Fort William appeared on the plain, appearing as a lonely sentinel among a vast expanse of nothingness. I must confess to expecting something a little more professional, but what greeted us was a small and rather haphazard collection of picket walls, log huts, and adobe structures, which appeared to have been thrown up with more haste than order. A mere dozen or so families made their home there, mostly hardy frontier folk, a few soldiers and some teamsters clustered together for mutual protection against the savagery that abounds in this place. Water is drawn from a brackish creek, meat from the hunt, and news from the outer world arrives only when a rider chances through. Life is stark and unyielding. The women tend small gardens and mind the stock, while the men work construction or stand watch. Evenings are spent around common fires with stories, hymns, and constant vigilance. The sky is immense and the winds ceaseless, and one somehow feels both the freedom and the peril of such a remote place all at once. Yet it is there that these people choose to make their home, and for that choice, they paid dearly. On the second day, a curious incident occurred that set the families on edge. As late one afternoon, a lone rider appeared far out on the prairie, moving slowly across the crest of a distant rise. At first, we took him for a welcome messenger or a lost traveler, and several men rode out a short way to hail him. But the stranger halted upon a low rise, sitting motionless upon his horse for a long while, and simply watching the fort with a stillness that carried no friendly greeting. No signal was returned, nor any approach made, and then after some minutes, he returned and rode away at an easy pace before being swallowed by the distant horizon. The fear that settled over the little community was palpable. Mothers drew children close, rifles were checked, and quiet talk of Comanche scouts or worse lingered well into the night. The next morning, tensions rose sharply when the inhabitants awoke to find dead birds deposited near the fort's walls. Doves, meadowlarks, and blackbirds were found strewn about, as though some unseen hand had cast them down in the night, and the sight unnerved the entire settlement. Some of the other frontiersmen muttered darkly that it was a deliberate warning from the Comanche, a sign that the fort was marked for destruction and that the warriors were closer than any scout had detected. Others, their faces set like cut flint, declared that they would die where they stood before they abandoned their homes and fields. Rifles were oiled with greater care than What's Joel's true crime channel? Oh yes, Saturn Soul. Thank you guys for letting them know. Go check it out. It's got a new video. Got a new vid. Every other Tuesday. What's your opinion on the song "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey? Sometimes it hits, and sometimes you're like, "Oh my God, shut the fuck up." You know what I mean? Respectfully, it's just, it's either perfect for your drunken brain, or it's just an absolute nails on the chalkboard for me. PA stinky butt crud right from the booty port. Total ridiculous. That's so disrespectful, Justin. In fact, I would say it's a bit Pennsylvania-ist. Pennsylvanist. It puts the vein in the penis-vania. Penis-vania-ist. Anyways. Rifles were oiled with greater care that day. Children kept close to the cabins, and a heavy silence fell over the fort, broken only by the melancholic howling of prairie winds. Tensions were already high after the lone rider and the grim discovery of dead birds scattered about the fort, but on a moonless night, they rose to outright terror at a sound that came drifting on the winds. For emanating from the darkness beyond the pickets came the unmistakable sounds of a war dance. We heard drums beating low, steady rhythm that seemed to cut through our very bones, but these were nothing compared to the screeching chants of the warriors. Their war songs drifted across the prairie like the wails of tormented spirits rising and falling in eerie cadence, fierce yet mournful. The fort's families huddled together in their cabins, while the men gripped their rifles at the walls while peering into the blackness. No one slept, for every soul feared that at any moment the darkness would erupt into an onslaught. The ghostly songs continued for hours before fading into the emptiness, leaving the little fort shaken to its core, yet still they did not waver. For several days afterwards a strange lull settled over the fort. No further riders appeared, nor war songs drifted on the nightly wind, yet the tension remained as taut as a hostile's bowstring. The fort's occupants went about their tasks, but rifles were never far from reach. Sleep came lightly, with every gust of wind or distant dust devil drawing anxious eyes to the horizon. Then one night, a loud alarm was raised when a sizable party of Comanche warriors came riding boldly toward the fort from across the prairie. The menfolk rushed to the walls, preparing for desperate battle as they loaded rifles and primed pistols. Yet to their infinite relief, the riders halted well short of range and raised a large white flag high above their heads. On the assumption they wished to parley, the fort set out the Fart William. Ghost Indians. Maybe. Pens, Romania. I'm from Pens, Romania. I can't listen to this without headphones. Joel's too weird for other people to hear. Yeah, you'll get in trouble. You'll be sent to British jail. Ugh. Do I ever walk into people? I honestly wish I could. I wish I could just walk up to them and just fucking plow into them, grab their tricep fat, and just ask them what the fuck they think they're doing. Get it together. You sicken me. And then just fucking grab them by the face cheeks and kiss them. Fucking love you so much. And then I go pick up my cereal from the cereal aisle. I go buy Captain Crunch. On the assumption they wished to parley, the fort sent out a small armed delegation of 3 men. Yet scarcely had greetings been exchanged when the trap was sprung. With a sudden and violent screech, the Comanche overwhelmed the delegation, impaling them on their war lances. Warriors then dismounted and began butchering them alive, all within plain view of the man on the fort's battlements. The effect of the delegation's screams of agony had a terrible effect on the defenders, and then once terror had settled firmly among their ranks, the main body of the Comanche were party surged. It's aggressive passive. Can you have my love handle back, please? Just like unraveled it. I just put it around myself. I want this. I wear it as like a pool floaty. Give me your glob. God, there was like a pretty disturbing scene from the newer Hellboy movie. Whenever like all the demons rise up from hell, and they just like, I don't know, it's just like kind of like showing all of them, but then also showing all the various scenes of them like torturing people and doing terrible things to like randoms. Like the one just like, they're running and the one guy's walking and the demon has like, for some reason, like knife feet. It's just like, it's kind of all those like weird sort of things like a fucking little kid would like dream up, and he's got knife feet, and then he like stomps onto somebody and like impales them as he's walking, and then another person has like for some reason a sword arm, and then he just like grabs the person by the legs and like just skins them down the side of the fucking sword. Why is there never a heaven boy? I don't know, dude. It's always such a admiration for hell in our culture, never anything of the heaven sort. How did you start out narrating? I just picked the microphone up and I started going wooga booga wooga. Hello, welcome to another episode. This is literally my voice on episode 1 if you go back. Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Read. Today we're going to be reading a fucking stupid Wikipedia page. I should have just did Reddit stories right out the gate, but I was too stupidly stubborn. Oh well. He hated nursing. Yeah, not liking your job is a pretty big motivating factor to do something cool. Did I actually like the sound of my voice? Not initially, but now I listen to it and I'm just so used to hearing it all the time. Ryan Reynolds. What's Ryan Reynolds up to? Beating up his girlfriends, huh? Just kidding. Just kidding, folks, just kidding. Everybody in Hollywood's actually a really good person. They've never done anything wrong. But then once terror had settled firmly among their ranks, the main body of the Comanche war party surged forward. They forced the gates with sheer numbers and fire, then poured inside, running amok among the cabins and corrals. What followed was a protracted and brutal struggle. Men fought hand to hand with knife, tomahawk, and clubbed rifle as the air filled with smoke and screams. Warriors attempted to drag women and children away into the plains, with several only being stopped by desperate point-blank shots or the fierce intervention of husbands and fathers wielding axes and knives. The battle raged across the dusty enclosure for what seemed an eternity. Do you get swooned by your own voice? Yeah, it's like trying to listen back during editing. I just like, it's so awkward with like a boner the whole time. Just like, get out of here, you cad. And it's like, hey boss, come on. You know what to do. No, you freak, get out of here. The battle raged across the dusty enclosure for what seemed an eternity, with every hut and wall becoming a separate field of combat. For a short period, I feared all was lost. But by God's mercy, the defenders prevailed at last, driving the attackers out and securing the shattered gates. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Many good men lay dead or dying. Women and children were wounded, and the little fort ran red with the blood of both attacker and defender alike. I remained there for days afterwards, tending the injured as best my skills and limited supplies allowed. I set broken limbs, extracted rifle balls, and dressed cruel lacerations. I also eased the passing of those beyond earthly help using a meager supply of morphine I carried with me. The survivors now face the future with grim resolve, but the price of holding that lonely outpost upon the plains has already been dearly paid. After doing what I could for the wounded at Fort William, I moved on to another small settlement some miles further west, one that had suffered a recent attack on. Isn't it weird to think that, like, the quote-unquote longest war in American history was the wars against the natives? Literally just having, like, small skirmishes like that for, like, over 400 years. I'm pretty sure. Since your back is better, can you borrow it? Yeah, you can borrow it. Are you okay? Maybe we can work through it. Ugh. In this search, just look up RGV and you'll see all types of different forums. Everything from swingers to... What are you talking about? Guys, don't tell people to go to swinger forums. I'm used to mine now, but people have a hard time actually in my mid-40s. I'm much younger. The background music often makes me sleepwalk to the freezer. Good, good, good. Been at war for 240 years. Google it. Are we still at war? Oh, with Everett, yeah. But I just mean, like, all the different sub-wars that eventually come to an end and we go to the next. That one was just, like, perpetual. I mean, it makes sense, right? I wonder at what time... Actually, that's a curiosity of curiosity. At what time in history did Native Americans get relegated to reservations? And what's the deal with the casino thing? Alright, let's see. So, the answer is it happened in waves, but the reservation system as people think of it mostly took shape in the mid to late 1800s. When did Native Americans get pushed out onto reservations? There wasn't one single moment. It unfolded roughly like this. The 1600 to 1700 European colonies and then the early United States made treaties, took land, fought wars, and displaced native peoples gradually. The 1830s, the big turning point, was the Indian Removal Act of 1830 under Andrew Jackson. This pushed many eastern tribes west of Mississippi. The most famous example is the Trail of Tears, when the Cherokee and others were forced out of the southeast. The U.S. State Department describes the Removal Act as strengthening the government's ability to displace native peoples from their homelands. 1850s to 90s, this is the main reservation era. Settlement expanded westward, the U.S. government increasingly confined tribes to specific reservation lands, often through coercive treaties, military defeats, or executive orders. So if you're asking when Native Americans were broadly relegated by reservations, the cleanest answer is mostly after 1850, especially from the 1860s through 1880s. 1887, then came the Dawes Act, which actually broke up many reservation lands into individual allotments. The stated idea was assimilation, make native people individual landowners and farmers rather than members of communal tribal nations. In practice, it caused huge native land loss because surplus land was open to non-native settlers. So the blunt version, native people were first removed and displaced, then confined to reservations, then even reservation land was broken apart. Let's see, so then casinos, tribal sovereignty. Tribes have certain powers of self-governance on tribal lands. That means states do not automatically control everything that happens in reservations. A major court battle in the 1980s, some tribes began running bingo and gaming operations to raise money because many reservations had limited economic opportunity. States tried to shut them down. The important case was California versus Cabazon Band of Mission Indians in 1987. The Supreme Court basically said that if a state allows some form of gambling, it cannot completely stop tribes from running gaming on tribal land just because the state wants to regulate it. Congress passed the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act in 1988. After the Supreme Court decision, Congress created a federal framework called the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, or IGRA. It was enacted in October 17, 1988, and created the modern legal structure for tribal gaming. Are casinos just allowed automatically? No, it depends on the type of gaming. Under IGRA, gaming is split into classes: Class 1, Class 2. Class 3 is full casino-style gambling. Interesting. A lot of reservations were placed on remote or economically weak land. Many had poverty, limited infrastructure, and few industries. Casinos became one of the few ways some tribes could generate serious revenue without relying entirely on federal funding. Yeah, no, I'm aware of like the obviously many wars prior to the arrival of various colonialists or whatever. I'm not like a black and white history kind of guy. Like, I understand everything is just a muddled mess of violence after violence after violence. Like, I'm pretty aware of like human tendencies. Divine Jupiter, welcome back for 10 months, says, my sweet, sweet Joel Poop. I'm sorry I've been cheating on you with Audible as of late, but I'm back. That's okay. I've been listening to Audible too. There's this if you ever get to listen to the Exorcist audiobook, I've been listening to that, and the narrator on that is really, really, really good. What about the Dino Nation or the Star People? Do we ever give them recognition? I don't know. I mean, sometimes we have to recognize that we're on stolen dinosaur land. I think the British actually sent that one asteroid over at some point. Stranger, what's up, dude? Hello from Arizona. Currently doing my Sunday reset. Let's go. Okay. After doing what I could for the wounded at Fort William, I moved on to another small settlement some miles further west, one that had suffered a recent attack all of its own. There I found a man lying in a darkened cabin, sorely wounded by lance and shot, yet the deepest injury of all was to his spirit, for I came to learn that his wife and young daughter had been dragged away by the Comanche during the assault. Day after day I dressed his wounds and tried to raise his spirits, but he would only turn his face to the wall and whisper that he could no longer care to live. The light had gone out of his eyes, and he seemed a man already half departed from this world, waiting only for the final summons. All of this has left me with a heavy heart and the clear conviction that a great and terrible conflict between the settlers and the Comanche is now inevitable. The hatred runs too deep, the outrages too many on both sides, and the frontier too wide and lawless for any lasting peace. I therefore mean to finish my immediate duties here and make arrangements to leave these western plains before the storm breaks in earnest and this entire region is consumed in fire and bloodshed. May God protect you, and may He in His wisdom reunite us soon. Your faithful friend and servant, Dr. Joseph Paget. Dr. Oogie Boogie. Okay, was it Paget? Did we get that right? Yes. You have really bad memories on Four Loko or really good ones, but more likely really bad. What is in Four Lokos in the modern sense? Okay, so we got one more story, guys. I actually do have to use the bathroom, so you get to see the poop screen for the first time in quite some time. Also, I don't know if you saw that Robin was working on a new loop for the background. Pretty exciting. Can we get a little rant for good spirits? I don't know what to rant about. You have to tell me something to rant about and get me going, because I really don't have... I mean... didn't I already rant about The Boys season 5 and how like it went downhill after season 2 because they went so hard into, well, like the writer of the show, Eric Kripke or whatever, like went so insane into the whole like political ideology bullshit that you saw on like every show, and just kind of like ruined it for his own sort of cathartic sense of, I don't know what you want to say, like rebellion or something retarded. But it's like, I don't know, these people act like they know so much about politics, and yet their only ability to write things are just like in this very like non-nuanced black and white like sort of perspectives. Like they just seemingly like completely tanking their ability to make anything in the future. I don't know. Just strange shit that goes through people's heads. The pew pew at the House of White was staged again. I don't know. I heard that there was a shooter and he's dead, but I don't fucking know, man. I mean, who knows? Maybe it is all just like low-key trying to like slowly prepare us for a degree of amplified violence, you know, domestically or something. Who fucking knows? I'm pretty over it, honestly. Boys got so fucking pretentious and ideological. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's pretty over it. Like, nobody even really, I mean, everybody I interact with when it comes to like political perspectives, like, sure, there's some people that are like still holding on to hope that like somehow their side is the correct one, but I think most people are pretty much just like tired. They don't care anymore. They find like both sides to be basically working for the same handlers, and it's just kind of boring at this point. He had prior arrest before the shooting rounds. Oh, okay, yeah, I don't know. I don't really care, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's good, but I guess maybe I'm just desensitized towards it at this point. I will be right back. I gotta take a big old piss. It'd be funny, like an old man was in a nursing home and he like asks his nurse, "What'd you get me for my birthday?" She's like, your fucking medication, man. Just fucking take it. Oh. Is that my coat lace? I've been a little backed up. I don't fucking know. Is it orange? Yeah. Then it's your coat lace. Josephine's birthday is coming up. We're both. Yeah, are you guys gonna get me coal lace? Did I have a good stream? Oh yeah, we let them blades fly, Swiss cheese style. Did Joel actually edit these episodes and use them? I do. Okay. But sorry, forgive me. Here we go. So let me tell you about this girl called June, who I was friends with back when I was a kid. I had to move schools near the start of 7th grade, which was a real pain in the butt in terms of settling in and making friends, especially since I'd gone from the city to the country, which might as well have been two different worlds back then. June was the only one in school who bothered to take the time to get to know me, because she also knew what it was like being the new girl. Now, until just the previous year, June had been homeschooled by her parents on their farm out in the sticks. But then, for whatever reason, they decided to take her to... Oh, I wonder if I got... So, did you guys see David Paulides was on Joe Rogan? Isn't that crazy? No one even liked my comment either. So like he was telling a story about how like this hunter was out and like these aliens had basically like frozen the bullet that he had shot, and then also like frozen in time the elk that he was shooting at, and basically kidnapped the dude, but kidnapped the dude with the purpose of basically extracting the guy's semen, right? But then even David Paulides and Joe Rogan didn't know why they also were kidnapping elk, or like, you know, abducting elk or whatever. And I knew the answer because basically elk, and you guys might not know this, but elk's stomachs are very similar to cows' stomachs, in the sense that they are like have those 4 compartments and like what do they call them, rudimentary stomachs or whatever it is, where it has to go like through 4 digestive processes. But there's 4 chambers. But there's something about like cows' digestive enzymes that the reason that you find these cows like completely mutilated, in relation to like alien abduction stuff or crop circles or what have you, is that there's something in the cows' stomachs that the aliens, like these greys or whatever, like they don't really have like digestive stuff. They digest nutrients through their skin, something crazy like that. And so they have to like take the digestive enzymes from the cows to like rub it onto their skin, and then that helps them to digest nutrients that they absorb through their skin or whatever the fuck. It's very weird. And then in a similar fashion, I suspect that that's what they're doing with elk as well. Once again, this is all speculative. I have absorbed his nutrients. I suck them up. But then, supposedly the aliens or whatever the fuck they are us from the future in a different timeline. They live under the earth or whatever, but then their ability to they live under the earth, but their like ability to procreate and digest food is pretty shitty, since they've been under the earth for so long. Like we fucked up earth or something along the way. And so basically to like maintain their existence, they go backwards in time with their technology. They monitor humans to make sure that we don't destroy ourselves with nukes, but then they also have some little bit of a deal with our governments to be able to abduct us. They give our government technology in exchange, and and then they get to abduct us and use our semen for procreation, or trying to figure out how they can basically keep their future selves from going extinct. And then obviously the whole thing with the cows that I mentioned. I don't know. It's been pretty interesting stuff so far. Thoughts on the Lone Star tick? Yeah, I don't know. It seems like they put it in a lab and made it really bad. And I saw some people saying that there were some whistleblowers up in Canada saying that they were charged with the job to airdrop a bunch of boxes of Lone Star ticks throughout the Canadian forests and that kind of thing, because basically they're trying to expedite the process in which people get alpha gall syndrome, which makes them allergic to red meats. So they have to rely more on government made fucking 3D printed bullshit, David Paulides is a government shill, in my opinion. I don't know. I think he's may or may not be kind of finding, because when you listen to him, I'm about 34 minutes into his podcast. No disrespect to him, because I've done a lot of episodes of my channel related to his concepts of abstract missing people within national forests. It's an interesting topic for sure, but it's weird. It's he's being interviewed by Joe, essentially given the floor to talk, and it's almost like he's actively avoiding taking here, let me take it from here, Joe. We'll go let me explain to you what I believe. It's he's just kind of in a police interview and not really giving a lot of answers, and it kind of just makes me feel like he doesn't really want to talk about stuff, or know what he's talking about, or maybe he's kind of build up this brand that seems to highlight any sort of missing person immediately as paranormal, that it probably is not great detective work to a degree, you know what I mean? Which I understand. It's no disrespect. I mean, the fact that he's covering the stories are in and of themselves pretty interesting, but to immediately think that it's fucking Bigfoot out there just interdimensionally kidnapping people is kind of jumping the gun a little bit. I heard men's test levels are below 400 nowadays. In the 60s and 70s, it was 800s, and 1920s men's testosterone would have been 1200. That's insane, yeah. That's actually insane. I got mine tested recently. It was like, what the fuck was it? 567. So, not the best. And that's for me, like, working out a pretty good amount and, like, trying to take care of my shit. Or was it 567 or 6? I don't fucking know. It makes me want to, like, just test. But at the same time, I know, like, as soon as you take testosterone, you're just, like, stuck on it for the rest of your life. But anything, like, below 300, you just medically should probably get on it with a doctor's prescription so that, like, you can... Because, I mean, it's obviously necessary for a lot of, like, typical bodily functions. You guys want to do roids together? Alpha-gal is really bad in the south and spreading up here to Michigan. Fuck, dude, so it is getting bad. See, that's just crazy, man. Like, and then you got fucking, I don't know, people like Bill Gates, like, still sitting there, like, especially after, like, COVID, like, still going around, like, telling people what to do and what to think and all this stuff. It's like he has no authority over anything. Nobody trusts him at all. And he was on the Epstein list, so he can just, like, fuck himself straight to hell. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why they would think, like, marching him around is going to convince anybody of anything. It's very odd. But yeah, that's true. Bill Gates does have the peak male body type. We all want to look like him. And have to get fucking... Literally in the Epstein files it says that he had to, like, trick his wife into taking antibiotics because he got some, like, STD from a Russian prostitute. What a cool dude. And who knows what else he did. They're obsessed with destroying the population controller, food, and movement. It is weird, man. Like, can you just leave us alone? Like, I mean, that's why I genuinely wonder to an extent if it's, like, aliens or just, like, such a strange compartmentalized aspect of government that it's just, like, clocking in at work to do... Like, you literally clock in at work at the Dr. Evil department. You clock in and your entire job is just to, like, make $25 an hour and, like, a pension... thinking of every possible way to depopulate Earth. Yeah. I don't know. It's funny how the rulers will tell us that eating meat is evil and bad, but they gorge themselves on I mean, that's the whole point, right? It's like they want to get to a point where the consumeristic population is no longer able to consume anymore because they can't afford it, or due to some, like, event they're only, like, limited in their travel and their carbon credits or what have you, you know what I mean? And then eventually they're the only ones that get to fly around, they're the only ones that get to eat meat, they're the only ones that get to, you know, and then we're all just, like, basically existing on, like, UBI that's also based around your movement and your activity that's affecting Earth in some weird way, and you're just a fucking lowly, like, feudalist, techno-feudalist pleb who gets to do whatever they say, if you're still alive by that point, you know what I mean? Elon says there's not enough of us, but they're equally trying to kill us. Well, I mean, I think, listen, they all, like, kind of serve a purpose, right? Elon serves his purpose in, like, the grandiose, like, because, like, this left-right divide thing that they want you to think is real, it's not really real. It's like a big play, right? It's like a big play where they pretend these guys are on this side, these ones are on that side, but the end goal is always going to be the same. Like the fucking massive data centers, like the surveillance centers, whatever they are, they're still being created. You know what I mean? And most of the times, the things that, like, left and right vote for in Congress or the Senate or whatever, like, they always seem to have, like, bipartisan agreements when it comes to, like, wartime policies and anything of that nature, or you know, going back to COVID, like, they all, like, voted to inflate the economy by insane amounts around that time, you know what I mean? Like, just bipartisan votes, and, you know, it's just shit like that. Like, at the end of the day, there's, like, some really specific categories that they all kind of align on, but then when it comes to, like, the really meaningless stuff that you argue about, like, at the bar or in your library or at your, like, you know, turkey dinner once a year, like, they'll sit there and screech about that all day long, but they still get paid at the end of the day. They get their money. They took their 30 pieces of silver, like everybody's bought and paid for it this time. And if you're, I don't know if you saw, but like Thomas Massey or whatever he was, I don't know if he was somehow, it seemed in some of his votes, and I'm not saying completely, but it seemed to a degree he had gone a little bit against the grain quite a bit. But Jesus Christ, I mean, like, did you see how Trump painted him out to be this like anti-conservative, anti all this stuff, and then they spent like what, $35 million to basically out him in his like race that he ran more recently. So I'm not saying he was somehow going to make some big change or whatever, but it's clear that he like had gone against the grain to a certain degree, and then, you know, his wife seemingly died under some pretty mysterious circumstances as well, from some aggressive form of cancer, which I find, or how did his wife die? His wife died in some weird ways, but anyways, the exact number of convenient, yeah. Who fucking knows, man? Shit's crazy. And there's nothing I can do about it other than keep you guys entertained and help you get some sleep. We need to quit being followers and waiting for the Dems Republicans to save us. The real problem is people expect to be rescued so they get power to policy. Yeah, I agree, man. You gotta just like think about yourself. How can you take care of yourself? How can you take care of your own family? What you should be doing right now, if possible, is trying to just make yourself as financially unreliant upon the government as humanly possible. Because, I mean, like, once you get pulled into their system of, like, relying upon their assistance or UBI or whatever the fuck it ends up being, you're just, like, they can just turn it off like that, and now you're fucking on your knees begging them to feed you. Nick Ventura, welcome back for 9 months, says, left or right, we're all doomed into facade to further control, divide, and conquer. Yeah, and it sucks because, like, we're kind of, like, caught in that same sort of system. Sounds like a bunch of patriarchal bull. I mean, it's like, doesn't matter if it's patriarchy, matriarchy, like everyone's bought and paid for at some point. There's female leaders in other countries that are just as equally owned and blackmailed and all that kind of stuff. Joel, hot dogs or hamburgers? I feel like I'm leaning more towards like a good hamburger than a hot dog, but you get a good hot dog, boy oh boy, is something else. Making me feel patriotic. And hot dogs are sandwiches, that's a good point. Matriarchy, patriarchy, all I want is my partridge in a pear tree. Exactly, I say that every Christmas. What about Mrs. Claus? Like, what? Do you ever wonder yourself, like, Santa Claus is out there busting his ass all night trying to bring presents to, you know, all 8 trillion kids on Earth. And what is Mrs. Claus getting up to? She thinks she's cheating on him? Until just the previous year, June had been homeschooled by her parents on their farm out in the sticks. But then, for whatever reason, they decided to place her in middle school so she could be properly socialized or what have you. And when I say her family lived out in the sticks, in the middle of nowhere, boy, do I mean it. June had to wake up at 4:30 in the morning so her dad could drive her to the nearest town, just so she could catch the 7 a.m. bus to school. Now, she must have felt like double the outsider having to start in a brand new school, having never even been to one before, and I guess that's why she took so kindly to me after I showed up in town. We spent pretty much all of our school days together, and she really helped me settle in. But unlike other kids who'd call each other or go over to each other's houses after school, me and June couldn't do really any of that thanks to how far apart we lived. Now, it was just too far to drive for either of our parents, especially after their long days at work, but that was to be expected. What wasn't was how June's family didn't have a phone line on their property, which obviously meant that they had no phone. That was the first real clue that I had that June's family were different, I mean, aside from the fact that they lived in the middle of nowhere, I didn't even think that it was all that strange that she was homeschooled, since I'd known that was a thing for quite a while. But then in the summer between 7th and 8th grade, I went to stay with June and her family for about a week, and it was then and only then that I realized just how different her family really was. And so, like I say, visiting wasn't so easy with June since she lived so far away, and then by the time summer break came around, we couldn't bear to go months at a stretch without seeing each other, so our families made an arrangement. For a whole week, I'd go stay with June and her family out on their farm, and then at some point later on, June could do the same and come stay with us for a week. Now I was really excited to go see her and meet her family, and just as excited for her to meet mine. And then when the time came, I packed a week's worth of my best clothes, a bunch of other stuff that I wanted to show her, and then my dad and I set off on the 4-hour journey to where June lived. Now it felt like we drove forever, mainly because I couldn't wait to see my best friend, and then when we arrived, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was like Junebug, my nickname for her, was living in her very own Disney movie. Her family had their own homestead out there right on the very edge of the wilderness and farming country, and not only was it a really beautiful place, but they had horses too. Junebug ran out of her Oshkosh. What the fuck is an Oshkosh? Okay, yes, I need your water with the two, so I dozed off and completely forgot there was a stream. Welcome back. Welcome back, soldier. We're still in the midst of it. I think dogs and cats should be permitted to vote. I think if they can be mayors of towns, they should be able to. Maybe only once they die. Like, once they die, they can send in a mail-in ballot or something. Oshkosh Bagosh clothing brand, lots of overalls. We got Osh, we got Kosh, and don't forget about Bagosh. I hate how they ruined my month of June with both Pride Month and the fake. No, it's, I don't know, man. It's whatever. People be doing things, and, you know. If you're not into something politically or not into something whateverly, you just don't have to think about it, you know? Unless it, like, really is negatively affecting oneself. Joe, what's your favorite console as a kid? Let's think. I mean, I kind of missed out on, I had a Sega Genesis. I missed out on the PS1, sadly. I never had a Super Nintendo. I wish I did. That one was pretty sick. And then I eventually got a Dreamcast. That was pretty cool, but I never had a memory stick for it, and I feel like I barely got to play that many games, you know what I mean? Like all the really, really sick, like, niche ones on it that seemingly are really popular now. Oh yeah, N64, what the fuck am I talking about? Yeah, that's probably, honestly, N64 was the one that I probably spent the most time with. And then after that, to jump to like the Sega Dreamcast was pretty cool, but I feel like it was sort of that in-between that nobody really had, at least for me. And then to go from that, I briefly had a PS2, but then jumped no, actually I feel like I had an Xbox first before the PlayStation 2. Okay, I need you more with the 5 civs. It's only Pride Month when you want it to be. I hadn't even thought of it till you said so. Yeah, I don't really give a shit. Like, I do not care. I mean, half the mods in here are gay, so it's Pride Month every day of the week, baby. Let's go. Everybody whip out your wieners. Just don't go to a kindergarten, all right, Justin? SNES was great for its time, man. Super Mario Kart and Super Metroid was my two. Yeah, those are crazy. I felt like I was just a little bit, like, too stupid to, like, really beat games. Like, I used to watch my cousin, who was the same age as me, but I would watch him play, like, Battletoads, and I just, like, couldn't comprehend in my dumb fucking brain, like, how to, like, be good at Battletoads. And it would frustrate me so much, but he would just be like, bah, bah, fucking knocking people's asses out and killing them. And I know it seems pretty straightforward, like these buttons make them go left and right, and this one jumps, and this one hits, but I just like, I don't know, my brain took a while to develop, it seemed like. Because I legitimately like didn't know how to read till I was like 9. I might, you know, honestly, I'm thinking I might have been born autistic, but then I like came out of it, you know what I mean? I like sort of came to, I was like, oh, what if I, okay. Junebug. F Battletoads, man, that game was hard to fight. It was pretty hard. Yeah, I cured myself of autism. It's that easy, really. You just give them a game controller till they figure it out. It took 4 of us to figure out how to walk up the stairs in the first level of the NES RoboCop a few months ago. I had to watch a video. That game was horrible. Dude, it was so funny. Like, me and my mom have like a core memory. Now, granted, I know she was like an adult woman at this point, but me, like, I feel like every mom has the exact same fucking, like, experience. Like, there's, you know, like that meme on the internet where it's like nobody has any unique experiences. Well, I feel like moms have the same shit where like their kids briefly let them like play a video game, play with a video game controller to play their console, and then as soon as they realize that the mom has no fucking clue what the fuck she's doing, even though in our little kid heads we're like, of course they're gonna know what to do, they're our mother, but then they just are like, what did you do with this? And then it just like pisses us off to such an insane extent that we're just like, just let me do it. Just fucking let me do it. You hand it over. But I remember that was my mother's experience playing video games, and I feel so bad for her, because it's kind of like every time anybody's let her play video games, it's like they get mad at her. It's like getting mad at someone that they didn't. It's like getting mad at someone that they didn't know how to ride a bike as soon as you gave it to them. It's like, well, you got to teach them how to do it. But there was one thing, like I played this game on this Sega Genesis that was like a Tasmanian Devil game where you're like the first level of the Tasmanian Devil game was like you're on like Mars with who was the guy that's like, there's supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom or whatever. But she did figure out that if you make yourself swirl around like a tornado as the Tasmanian Devil, then you could like bounce up walls like up a tunnel, like boom, 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 until you get to the top. And she figured that out. So that was her one like claim to fame when I was like 6 years old on how to like play video games and stuff. But it was so funny because she brought it up the other day about how that was. But like any other time anybody else has ever like tried to let her play a game, like even at my grandfather's house, they let her play it. Like for some reason my grandpa was like owns Guitar Hero and is like good at Guitar Hero. It's the most random fucking thing that he's ever been into, but he's like good at it and enjoys it. But then my mom tried it and he's like, Jesus, you kind of suck. And she's like, I don't know how to do it. Give me a fucking second. Just want her to like handle like futuristic alien tech out of nowhere. Okay, I need you more with the 5s, Joe. You're a fucking fry me, dude. I'm trying to make a pizza. Someone's gonna sneak up behind you and push you in. It's gonna be the witch that lives next door. Thank you for the 5. And David Dude, thanks for the 5, says weapon grade autism. Engaged. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Figure out where someone lives just based off of a picture of a flag and a fucking chemtrail in the sky. What do your parents and family think about your narration career? Oh, they're happy for me, man. I mean, like, you know, it's like literally whenever I quit my previous job to like pursue it full time, they really didn't know much. But then when they were like, are you able to pay your bills? And I'm like, yeah, I actually paid back my student loans. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And it was at that point that I realized when it comes to people's lives, like, no one really gives a shit what you do, especially over a period of time, because they really only care about themselves. I mean, objectively speaking, they want well for you, especially family, usually. But everyone just wants you to, like, everyone's just in pursuit of, like, trying to get the fuck away from their job, basically. So if you did OnlyFans, they'd be happy if you were successful at it. I don't think they would really want to hear about it, but they would be fine with it. I feel like my dad wouldn't give a fuck. He doesn't care about anything. But yeah. But if my mom started OnlyFans, I don't think I'd be too proud of her. I'd be a little sad. Like, wow. This is what Bill Gates has done to us. A manifestation of a post-Rothschildian world. My mom found her niche. Oh, God. Junebug ran out in her Oshkosh. What the fuck is an Oshkosh? Is it like a military vehicle? What the fuck is an Oshkosh? Oh, it's just like a straight up overall. Okay. I mean, there's kids' clothes as a kids' clothes brand, but I think Oshkosh is a thing, like a baseline thing. Oh, okay. Linked. Can you link me to your mom's OnlyFans? Oh my God. I'd be sitting there like guarding her fucking like link in bio, like no, don't click it. Just like in every comment, like, hello, this is her son. Please unsubscribe. Please unsubscribe, for God's sakes. Leave her alone. Junebug ran out in her Oshkosh to give me a hug, and then her dads had a talk and shook hands before mine announced that he was leaving. We hugged and I promised him I'd be good, and then off he went, and I thought I was about to have the best week of my whole life out there on June's family farm. But holy crap, was I wrong about that. That first day and night were great, with her parents and older brother and sister all being super nice to me. But then on the second day, I saw something which made me think all was not as it appeared to be. We were playing around the side of the house and her dad was fixing his truck out near the driveway when I saw this man walking down the dirt road the house was on. I saw him first and then pointed him out to June, and then she yelled to her dad, who looked up and saw him last. It was an older man, one who walked with a slight limp, and I figured it must have been one of June's neighbors. But she said that she'd never seen him before in her life, and when her dad saw him, he started marching up the driveway to cut him off like he didn't want him coming near the house. Now June and I kept on playing, but I kept my eye out on the two men, and while I couldn't hear what they were talking about, I watched them for a minute or two before the older man suddenly dropped to his knees. He was begging June's dad for something, but he was gesturing all mad, pretty much saying, get up, and trying to shoo the man off. It was really weird, and even June stopped to watch as I asked her a whole bunch of questions that I didn't know the answer to. Now that's when I first started to suspect that her dad wasn't the super nice guy like I thought he was. And while he was never anything but wonderful to me personally, things got really strange from there on out. Like when I found the shed at the very back of the backyard. The Shed. Can someone write a creepypasta story called The Shed? Me and my ex separated for a little bit. I found out that she was doing Chatterbait to make money. I would join her streams and make it very awkward for everyone. That's crazy. I didn't even know. Isn't Chatterbait just like free? You got rejected by a girl. That's okay. Listen, I heard something the other day and it was a great thing, and honestly, just remember this. The fact that you went up to the girl, right, and she rejected you, you know what that means? She might have rejected you, but it means that you didn't reject yourself. If you wouldn't have had the bravery and the courage and the love of self to go up and even ask her out, that would mean that you have, you'd be struggling with basically self-acceptance. So the fact that you accept yourself enough to put yourself out there to another person, that's a good sign, you know what I mean? So keep doing it, basically. What's Chatterbait? Chatterbait, I don't know, it's kind of like what is it actually? It's like live streaming but for vagina or something. Justin, I had known her for 2 years. That's okay. I mean, like, that's the thing. 2 years, right? You're under the interpretation. This is the thing. Sometimes you're under the interpretation that if you know someone for long enough that they will fall in love with you. But sadly, when it comes to humans, most of the time you kind of know that you want to like get with each other within like probably within the first meeting. You know what I mean? And hence why, and henceforth, and hereby and henceforth, you're going to be hitting the gym. That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be hitting the gym. You're going to be eating a lot of protein and good foods, and you're going to work on your cardio, and you're going to work on yourself, and you're going to build up your confidence, and you're going to go try new things. You're going to pursue those things that maybe you didn't get to when you were younger, and eventually you're going to just be an even better version of yourself, and then these girls are just going to know they like you within like 3 seconds, and then you won't even give a fuck about the old ones. And yeah, rejection is just a statistical certainty, and it's fine. You just keep grinding. I've known her for a while. When I tried to be honest with my feelings, she said that we were just friends. And that's totally fine. That's how it goes. There's really nothing to dwell on. There's literally nothing to dwell on. There's nothing to worry about. Like, it was mutual, it was kind, and all it means is that you just got to get back into the lab, you know? And it doesn't mean you don't ever want to go back to her. Don't ever go back to her again. Don't even worry about her ever again in your life. You're gonna be kicking ass here in the next couple of years or whatever. You're gonna go after other girls, and yeah, it's just literally GG, go next. Just say that after each one, and just keep trying to better yourself 1% every day. Personality matters if you're looking for actual love. Looks maxing is only for loser douchebags who have no soul. That's not true. Just to clarify, like, nothing there I said is that you shouldn't like have a personality. Like, yes, you're going to have a personality, but I'm just saying we are animals, right? And the better you look, the better. I'm not trying to say you're like supposed to hit yourself in the face with a hammer to like restructure your, bones or anything like that. I'm literally saying you will feel better, happier, more confident in yourself if you, go work out and try to and dude, going to the gym and trying to look better doesn't mean you're a loser douchebag. Like, to me, I think that's actually like a way more toxic perspective than someone who's just trying to better themselves, like I said, 1% every day. Like, obviously you got to have a good personality, like to have good riz, to like, and you want to make a good connection with someone. I'm just saying that if you think that because you have like a funny personality on the internet that you can just like sit in your bedroom all day and be a fat piece of pizza eating shit, you know what I mean? Like, and somehow like because you have like 3 million updates on Reddit that somehow you're going to like intellectually woo a woman into your existence, it's not gonna fucking happen. No, I'm not saying make it in your entire personality. I'm not saying that. You gotta have, obviously, balance. But unfortunately, the superficiality of all people, men and women, sometimes comes down to your physicality, and it's being good looking is a great icebreaker at the very, very least. You know what I mean? It at least gives you like an in for them to like get to know you, and then you can tell if you hate each other or not. You know what I mean? Anyways. Yeah, someone's taking care of the body. It's a sign of self-confidence, self-love, self-discipline, outward sign of a stable individual. Exactly. Like, if you're on like my 600-pound life, like, clearly something's fucking going on. Just build a life someone wants to join you for. That's true too, Do the things, yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like, at the end of the day, you have to understand that in another person, person within your marriage or whatever, is not going to be the individual that makes you feel secure in yourself, They might help a little bit, it might help for a while, but you have to eventually find some degree of personality or some degree of self-sufficiency where you can be alone in some far-off land or wherever you are in your hometown you know, and still just be confident and comfortable in your own skin, because other people will fail you, and that's okay, because at least you can control what you can only control what you can control, right? Or you can become a stalker. You should stalk her and just like fucking show up with like duct tape and ask her what the fuck her problem is. When I did MMA and worked out all the time, I hit on pretty often. Not so much, but I'm not out of shape, just in as good a shape. I still have a good self-esteem. That's good. Don't listen to the manosphere about what women like. I don't even know. Is there even like a manosphere anymore? Like, I feel like half of that is just like some made-up boogeyman of a thing to fear or something. I don't even know who like, because when people point to like clavicular as like a manosphere like front man or whatever, I gotta be honest, I get like a vibe that clavicular might just be a robot. Like, he might be an autistic robot that like, I don't even know if it's possible to like even take him remotely seriously. Because yeah, no, I remember Andrew Tate, but I mean, that was like a while ago. I don't think anybody really has him on their radar anymore as far as someone that they listen to. But like, Andrew Tate at least was like talkative and like rude to people, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if clavicular like says things. He just kind of sits there like a male model and just goes, penguins, pretty cool, and then moves on. I just mean some men think that women like tall, rich, super attractive. Yeah, you don't want to go like full Elliot Rodgers on people and just be like, why don't they like me? Why aren't they a fan? Like, you have to be able to like laugh at yourself and just understand that it's all fucking retarded. My girl was telling me about some guy like that. Don't remember the name, but it was probably clavicular. Yes, I don't know. Like, I think the thing is, we get so caught up with these characters, you know, it seems like lately, like, our brains are only so capable of, like, pondering some newest enemy of the, you know what I mean? It's like 2 minutes hate, right? We have our 2 minutes hate of the day. We have an enemy that we're not a fan of, or that we're personifying as the future boogeyman, or the person that everyone on our opposing side is going to become, but it's all just like nonsense, you know what I mean? Like, it's all just like weird internet entertainment that just like genuinely means fucking nothing. Why are the Stacys going after the Chads? I don't know. I mean, Elliot Rodgers probably could have picked up a girl if he like was funny. If he was just funny and chill and didn't worry about it so much, like, he probably just needed, honestly, Elliot Rodgers, to not go insano, he probably just needed a hobby. He probably just needed another fucking hobby to just like fill up his time, and then he would have met somebody nice. Okay, honest opinion, since we're on the subject of relationships, what are you guys' thoughts of one of your best friends dating your ex-fiance? Well, yeah, it happens more often than I imagine people like to admit, but yeah, it's kind of sad, because obviously then they would have had feelings for quite some time in the background. So your best friend dating your ex-fiance, that's, yeah, I don't know if I would feel great about it, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like your biggest test of like, well, there's this weird mix of like, is it self-respect to just cut both of them off, or is it actually going monk mode by just like sort of forgiving both of them and living your own life? I don't know, it's a tough one, honestly. I probably would just kind of like be apathetic and then talk to neither of them. Have I seen Obsession? No, but I heard good things. Elliot could have pulled some tail, but he's mentally unhealthy, unfortunately. Yeah, makes you wonder where it all started. Joel, do you ever work out 7 days a week? I think there was like one time where I worked 7 days a week. It was like during my CrossFit era, where I had just like gone to the gym almost every day of the week, and then like on a Sunday I went on a hike. I was like, wow, look at me. And then that never fucking happened again. Did Elliot Rodgers go to the gym? You know, I have like a weird feeling that he may kind of have. But if he could have gotten his like squat to like 225 below parallel, he probably would have been doing okay. Like when I found the shed at the very back of the backyard. June's family had a gigantic backyard which led to this big patch of woods that had her and brother. June's family had a gigantic backyard which led onto this big patch of woods that her dad and brother sometimes went hunting in. Then, while we were out playing in the backyard on the third day, I ran over towards the shed only to hear June yell for me to wait. I stopped and turned around, and she was running full pelt to reach me. Then, as she caught her breath, she explained how we weren't allowed to go anywhere near that one shed, and that her dad would be really mad if he caught us. I have to stress, too, that the shed wasn't like sitting there out in the lawn. It was away. Also, I do have to point out that, like, when you look back through the great people through history, do you really even, like, remember any of their... Do you remember any of their spouses at all? Like, who did... I don't even know. Just think of anybody within, like, history. Do you, like, genuinely... Does anyone give a fuck or remember any of the people they dated or fucked or married? Probably not, man. Yes, because you've had sex with all of them, yeah. Eleanor Roosevelt. Yoko Ono. Yeah, but on the opposite side, you have, it's seemingly her, you know, what was the other guy's name? John Lennon or whatever, like, she showed up and kind of just, like, ruined things for him. My best friend could not care less with what any of his exes are up to. That's good, yeah. I mean, you shouldn't, really. Otherwise, it's just going to consume you and lead you to insanity. Einstein married his cousin. That's good. Something to remember. But you don't know the cousin's name, do you? What's the cousin's name? Maybe you do. Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama and Lincoln's wife was Mary. Well, yeah, I mean, but it's like those power couples you can kind of point to, I guess. Because they're, like, prominently right now, right? Because Hillary Clinton, you know, carried... I mean, she ran for president, right? Michelle Obama's kind of just like, I don't know. I look at her like, what the fuck does anybody remember about her other than, like, her big traps? Because, I mean, what has she been up to, really? I have no fucking clue. But, you know, those people that kind of, like, held positions of power within politics in the modern sense, sure, but I don't know. I really couldn't give a fuck less. Hey Joe, I really enjoy listening to your videos and stream, especially when I'm outside enjoying a nice day. Enjoy reading the rest of the stories. Thank you. Thank you. Hey Riki, good to see you. Thanks for joining back after getting my rice cooker set up with the ingredients for some fried rice. Let's go, dude. I have to stress, too, the shed wasn't like sitting there out in the lawn. It was way back among the trees, so far you couldn't even see it from the back porch. So when June told me that we had to stay away from it, it kind of made sense that her dad wanted to hide something away in there. I wasn't allowed up near our attic because my dad kept all those dangerous tools up there, so in my head, it made all the sense in the world that June's dad kept things away from the kids. But these days, I don't think that there was anything godly or innocent in there at all, let alone tools. On the fourth day, June's dad and brother went out on a hunting trip. I asked June if we'd have... Michelle Obama tried to reform school lunches to be healthier. That's so sick. She got rid of the fruit by the foot. She ruined them. She got rid of all the delicious gushers that came with the fucking chicken nuggets that bounce off the floor. She added a sweet potato. Did school lunches get any better? I mean, I still feel like most of the chocolate milk was just like coagulated when you would open it. You should really see Obsession and feel like you'd love that movie. Yeah, I definitely will. It's pretty exciting to think that like a comedic YouTuber just like made it. I feel like for him, he's got to be in like Cloud9 because I'm pretty sure he took out a $750,000 loan. Think about this, guys. He took out a $750,000 loan, which is a lot, but has made what, $100 million plus back? Like obviously it's a huge risk, but it somehow worked. And here we are. Have you seen the clip of John Lennon and Chuck Berry rocking out together, then Yono picking up a mic and screaming into it, then Chuck having a what the hell pissed off face? I have seen that. It's pretty awesome. The problem was they forced through healthier food without any funding. Was it like specific to the states? I don't know. Who would have? I mean, you think since Michelle and Obama, like, and Barack are like sleeping in the next bed, did she like forget to like let him know, like, hey, I'm gonna go push a bunch of healthy food, but I'm gonna need a little bit of funding? He's like, all right, Mike, I'll do my best. What did you have for dinner? How was Pradeep? I went over to my buddy's house and we made burritos, so that was pretty good. And Pradeep is awesome. He is behind me, curled up in a little ball. On the fourth day, June's dad and brother went out on a hunting trip. I asked June if we'd be having whatever they caught for dinner, but she said no, that only rarely did they go hunting for meat. I started asking her a whole bunch of questions that she didn't know the answers to again, but we didn't focus on it for long. We were always playing and laughing and talking about what 8th grade would be like, so even once I'd started to notice things, there were too many distractions for me to get too freaked out. A few hours later, June's dad and brother came back with a couple of turkeys. We spotted them walking back through the woods when we were playing in the backyard, and that's when I first noticed how they didn't have any guns with them. Now, I pretty much learned to stop asking questions by then because June didn't seem to know much about anything, bless her heart. But to this day, I wondered to myself, how the hell did they catch those birds if they didn't have guns? Now, for anyone who doesn't know much about turkeys, they're not slow. They can easily outrun a human if they need to, and if they take off flying, forget about it. You're not catching one on foot. So how the heck did her dad and brother manage to catch them by hand? Granted, I know they could have had traps laid out, but their horses roamed all over too, so I don't think that it'd make much sense to risk hurting them, and not just those turkeys. But that was just the smaller side of things, because what really got my attention was how June's brother had all this blood and gore around his mouth and neck. Her dad laughed about how shell-shocked he looked later and explained it was as a little rite of passage that his own... What, so these people were like feral? You're a moderator on another channel? That's cool. Which channel is that? The coolest Roblox gamer ever. Yeah, turkeys are pretty dumb, aren't they? I actually feel like I could probably sneak up on one. Even the whole she's ruining the band thing, Yoko Ono was dragged along to all those gigs. Dragged along? I don't know, man. It sounded like she was kind of a unifying, or, you know, an underlying denominator to things not being great. Whatever. I don't know. I mean, I've met so many men who, like, date some chick, take drugs with them, and then just turn out stupid at the end, and that's fine. Guys do it all the time. Honestly, I don't even blame Yoko. I blame John. Listening to is the first time I've been able to fall asleep within 30 minutes tops for this gift. The gift of sleep. I'm forever grateful, Joel. Thank you. I'm loving this live content. Thank you, Riki. I'm glad you can sleep. Her dad laughed about how shell-shocked he looked later and explained it as a little rite of passage that his own father had him go through too. But to me, it feels like another one of those things that had a deeper and much darker meaning behind it than what I was being told. We didn't see any of that turkey meat either, just like June said. Her dad just took those things out to his forbidden shed and did God knows what to them. And that night, we woke up to hear June's sister screaming at the top of her lungs. The scound. Oh yeah, I did see. Did you guys see that Kyle Busch, the NASCAR racer, died at the age of 41 from sepsis related to pneumonia? Kind of crazy. I didn't watch NASCAR or anything like that, but I just saw it on the news, and I remember seeing his name all the time, tangentially related to that sort of sports realm or whatever, and just weird. It's like, how the fuck, like pneumonia, and then just progresses to sepsis. It just seems crazy. But yeah, maybe he just didn't take it seriously enough. How long does it take you to edit your videos before posting? I would say after this it only takes like 2 or 3 hours. The actual editing part of the audio only takes like 30 minutes. I was never a NASCAR fan, but I knew who he was, and it was so sudden. Yeah, it's just scary. It just goes to show you, if you get pneumonia, please, I don't know, get something for it or get checked out. You had pneumonia that went to bronchitis, then went to acute asthma. Yeah, it's scary stuff. I mean, you could even wake up in the middle of the night with like sudden loss of breathing ability. Freaking just die. Suck. Alright. The sound scared the ever-living crap out of me, but June just wrapped a pillow around her head and said it happened all the time. It turns out her sister had these really bad night terrors, and even after she woke up, she wouldn't quite know where she was for the first couple of seconds. And that meant that she sometimes screeched out things like, "It's here," when her dad went to wake her up, which is what she yelled the first night she did. She did it again the second night, only she shouted, "It won't stop, it won't stop." That second night it just felt sad. Like listening to the way she cried, how tired she sounded, I just felt awful for her. But I think the thing that bothered me the most, and the thing that I still think was the weirdest and creepiest thing of all, the fowls. The foals? What the fuck is this word? F-O-A-L-S. Foals? Fool's Gold? Joel's Gold? I'm gonna play tennis this season. I don't really play tennis, but I could try. Foals. Oh, the baby horse. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Silly me. What are my plans for my birthday? Honestly, not much. I mean, I do want to eat food until I die. That sounds nice. But I also hate the feeling of eating that much to the point where you want to die, but you're not dead. Do I have a car bed? Yeah, it's fucking sick-ass convertible that my roommates got for me. Aren't your roommates your parents? Yeah, they're pretty cool. We are June 4th birthday twins. I don't know, if you haven't seen Grandma's Boy, it's so fucking funny. Nick Swardson? Is it Nick Swardson? Nick Swardson's like one of my favorite comedians. Just because he's, I don't know, just his attitude of like, who fucking cares, dude? It is weird, dude, like that Grandma's Boy is a masterpiece. Like, those kind of comedies were so fucking prevalent all the time. Did anyone watch the comedy with, what's his name? Theo Von. Didn't Theo Von star in like a comedy with like Spade, or what's his name? Spade, David Spade. It was good? Okay. It was like that, I don't know, there were so many of those movies back in the day, and you would think that it's like not that expensive to make those kinds of movies, so you think like Netflix and the streaming services would have like a ton of just like straight to streaming services, like comedies just like lined up all the time. For the fact that there's so many dumbass like random podcast comedians, you think they would just give every one of them like $1 million and say like, make something funny and we'll give you money or whatever. Freaking sweet ass car. Freaking sweet boobs. Yeah, I remember Nick Swartzen's like first ever stand-up comedy thing. Just he's like, Nicholas, like being his grandma. Nicholas, can you pick up that really heavy milk carton? And he's like, you mean this milk, Grandma? And he like lifts it into the air. Oh, Nicholas, you want me to open it too? Do you like Arrested Development? I love Arrested Development. It was amazing. An amazing show. Are you gonna eat your tots? Zach Galifianakis Between Two Ferns. Yeah, he still makes that too, which is kind of interesting. It was just like, who's the guy, Tobias? And like for an entire season, he pretends to be like British. And he buys like one of those mini coupes that's got like the British flag on it and like pretends to be like some female fucking like maid, and then like says she's from Blackstool. There was just like so many good jokes on that show that kind of like were, I don't know, they were nuanced, I suppose. Like you wouldn't quite pick up on it if you didn't know it, you know. I'm from Blackstool. Oh yeah, Always Sunny, can't go wrong. Danny McBride, yeah. I mean, just so many comedies back in the day, and then all of a sudden comedy in general just came to a screeching halt unless you like started a podcast, which like podcasts are very funny as well, but sometimes you just want some like curated, you like, because right now for comedy all you have is like Instagram Reels, a podcast, but like no just like curated written stuff, you know what I mean? Listen, Joel, I'm sorry I upset you with the idea for a Pull the Dead Body thing. That's okay, I forgive you. Tim Dillon's the go-to. Yeah, Tim's very funny. I feel bad because I've kind of stopped listening to Tim for the past couple weeks because I love Tim, but I just like don't want to hear about politics right now because I just like I don't know, it makes me feel so negative, you know what I mean? Like anticipating World War III and the eventual transition to like techno-feudalism and all that kind of stuff, and I just like, I don't know, I just want to ignore it, you know, and just hope that I can still play with toys. Patrick CC did a whole video about the death of comedy. It was a pretty good watch. I'll check that out. I mean, I definitely understand, like, you know, funding, but I feel like, if anything, the cheapest movies you could possibly make. Like, I actually feel like the amount of money that goes into a horror movie is way, way more than the money that would go into a comedy movie. Like, I feel like you could make a comedy movie so cheap and have such a huge return if it's actually funny and not bullshit. Did you watch the Kevin Hart roast? Yeah, that was hilarious. I was actually really stoked about the Kevin Hart roast because it was finally like, you know, we're back to a state of just like, say the joke, say the offensive joke, say the really harsh, mean shit, you know, like that's good. Like when you say really harsh, you don't go there type jokes, to me, that actually takes away from the weight that it's supposed to carry, if that makes sense. Like, when you say the most outrageous thing, it makes it, like, not a big deal anymore, you know? And it's like, I don't think we should make a big deal out of every little fucking word that comes out of people's mouth. It's just, it's psychotic. Like, it's actually psychotic. But then, what's her name? Chelsea Handler, like, trying to, like, go on these shows afterwards and be like, I didn't like that. I didn't know what, like, what did she not expect, like, mean jokes at a fucking roast? I don't know, from the guys from, like, Kill Tony, you know what I mean? Which is, like, basically been doing, like, weekly roasts for years at this point. She does fucking suck, man. Wait, Cat Williams was on it? I did not even see. I need to watch the whole thing. Where do you watch? Do you guys know where you watch it? The roast, that is? The roast of Jeffrey Epstein. There are people who make a huge stink about whoever says damn. It's just, at this point, people are just done with it. And, like, nobody cares. Like, dude, the only reason that people even were allowed to make a big stink out of everything is because the powers that be, such as the social media websites, the fucking, you know, major news outlets, the major media outlets, they all kind of, like, moved in lockstep with each other to, like, combat any of this, like, form of free speech or whatever, you know. And so now that, like, the chains are kind of, like, let loose, like, nobody in the general population gives a hoot about what people say. And in fact, it's, like, very cathartic for them to, like, finally hear some offensive jokes and that kind of thing, because it's how it was for literally my whole life growing up. Literally my whole life growing up was watching comedy that was, like, pushing the quote-unquote boundaries of rudeness, and then suddenly to, like, retreat into this sense of puritanism, you know. It felt like all of a sudden you were, like, surrounded by a bunch of Mormons. Like, don't say anything too bad about the Mormon church or you will be shunned. It's just cringe and kind of stupid. Saying anything may come with deadly consequences as well. It is what it is. I mean, like, if you're one of the people that kills someone over, like, being offended over words, then you're a psycho and you deserve to go to jail. Like, that's just what it is, dude. Like, if you can't control your emotions from the things that people say, then you probably are on some very strange medication, and you should be put in a fucking padded cell. Like, that's just that's just how it goes. Like, I get it, like, but I love how that's always, like, some, like, vague threat, like, words have consequences. It's like, yeah, but we also have police. So, like, if you're threatening me because I say something you don't like, then I'm calling the fucking police. Group of Ronnie Dangerfield, Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice Clay, group with offensive comedy. Yeah, it's fucking... And it's just, like, for them to, like, sit there and pretend like all of that never existed is just this weird abstract sense of, like, historical erasure that... I don't know, it just seems like a bit of, like, mass hysteria. Codboy, back to back to back. Back to back to back. 1993, 1994, blockbuster Pokemon. I don't even know what the fuck he did again. Played some video game and touched somebody, I guess. Who knows? Good, bro. How's it going? Going for Bali. Dude, that's sick. What's up, Hester? Have you seen Benny Hill? It's been so long, bro. But I love it. Give me all of it. Mix it all together in a big soup. But I think the thing that bothered me the most, and the thing that I still think was the weirdest and creepiest thing of all, the fowls. And so on the 5th, 6th, and final day of my stay, June's dad was super busy dealing with pregnant horses giving birth. This wasn't a total surprise, as June had already pointed one out before telling me that it was pregnant, and apparently 3 of them all decided to give birth right at the same time, which obviously posed quite a challenge to June's dad, brother, and older sister, who... Jokes are supposed to be offensive in my opinion, like I make jokes at people's expense, but it's usually because I like them, otherwise I wouldn't be comfortable making the jokes. Well, yeah, I mean, like... But I also, like, I don't know, like this... I think the weirdest argument I saw, and I saw a pretty good retort to it, was like, you know, jokes are only supposed to be like punching up, right? And it's like... just that implication of punching up or punching down is basically saying, like, yeah, we should only make jokes about people who are better than us. We should never make jokes about people who are inferior to us. And it's just like, once again, like, so many of these, like, people are so fucking far up their own ass when it comes to reality that they inadvertently are, like, more offensive than the individuals that they actually say are offensive. You know what I mean? Sitting there being like, be quiet, minority. I'm offended by this joke on your behalf. Or, you know what I mean? Or like, actually, we don't make fun of you because you're lesser than us. Like, it's just like, do you realize what you sound like saying this shit? Like, you're not protecting anybody and they don't need you to speak for them. Just shut the fuck up, you dumb idiot. Like, I don't even know. Just existing, I guess that's what happens when you sit in a fucking closet all day, farting into a tube that's connected directly to your fucking nose. Eventually, you just can't think straight. From a professional finked napper and our ancestors. What's a finked napper? Sounds awesome. Archie Bunker and George Jefferson were the best comedians. Yeah, I never got to really watch a lot of that really old school shit. They're in fart delirium. Pride Month is back. This month we're connecting a tube right from your asshole to our nose. Flint, not fink napper. What's a flint napper? Remember the Burger King Kids Club that taught us all we need to know about equality? Like the Burger King hat guy, or what are you talking about? Been up playing Arc Raiders all night now, 5:26 time, load a video and sleep, hope life treat well. Thank you, Kanzi, good to see you. Also, who gets to determine what punching up consists of? I mean, yeah, but like, what are these weird words? Like, what abstract like, I genuinely want to like find out the origin. You know, we're gonna do that right now. We're gonna find out the origins of what stupid fucking social studies class they took that like filled their weird little brains with this idea of quote unquote punching up, or like how much time do you have to spend on Twitter to eventually use the term punching up? All right, what is the origins of the term punching up? I was playing Gears of War Ragnarok. Oh, God of War Ragnarok, and Atreus' voice to irritate me. Like, oh, the boy. I haven't heard him. Boy. Have I got a favorite video that I made? Yeah, the one of the top 23 Sasquatch sounds. Punching up comes from a simple physical metaphor. You're throwing a punch at someone above your power status. It's a comedy. In comedy, political commentary means making fun of, criticizing, or satirizing people, institutions with more power than you. So jokes about president, blah, blah, blah. The opposite, punch, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? What's the... No. Where is the phonetic... I don't even know if that's right. Phonetic origin. Like, when did the word surface, and from what author? Top 10 Gooby Woobies. Are you guys gonna see Mandalorian and the Gooby Woobies this weekend? I hope so. I hope you guys are all supporting pretty much like the Muppets. Honestly, I would rather go see a Muppets. Yeah, etymology, thank you. I think that's the word I was looking for. Literal sports origin. The root from punch. Okay, right. Punch up is improved writing. There's an older entertainment writing meaning to punch up. A script means to make it sharper, funnier, livelier, more forceful. The OED list punch up is appearing in the 1950s with its earliest evidence from 1958 in the writing of Frank Norman. This version comes from punch, meaning impact, force, and vigor. Modern comedy, political, meaning the modern punching up function, mean joke, criticizing upward, downward in the power hierarchy, seems to enter comedy discourse much later. Subtitles episode on the phrase says the term comes from sports, cable news to comedy. A semi-metaphorical use appears around 2002 in the Times of London, according to Zimmer's tracing, before the phrase become common in comedy. Maybe that's when it appeared, and then it was just in like smaller communities, and then eventually it became in your face because it's just unavoidable to ever, you like are always going to be forced to hear those people's opinions. Codboy with the 2 says, can you say hi to Oscar? It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Oscar. What's up, broski? Anyways, who cares, I guess, right? I don't know. I just hate that some of these like pieces of vernacular exist so prevalent in the society, and you, as soon as you hear them, you're just annoyed by them, or you roll your eyes from them. But the fact that you hear them so often, eventually it just like slips into your like subconscious psyche. This wasn't a total surprise, as June had already pointed one out before telling me it was pregnant, but apparently 3 of them all decided to give birth right at the same time, which obviously posed quite a challenge to June's dad, brother, and older sister, who joined him to help out. I remember asking June if she was excited to have some young horses running around because they would no doubt be super cute, but she just shrugged and told me how they never survived for very long. And as you can imagine, she didn't know very much. She just said it happened a lot and that her dad always took the newborn fowls to the shed to try and nurse them, but they never survived because they came out different. And when I asked, "What do you mean they come out different?" June told me they came out looking wrong, and it was clear that they weren't going to survive. And then when she said that some of them didn't even look like horses, I told her not to say any more, as the thought of those poor things coming out all confused and in pain just made me want to cry. And it was like that for... Oh, I'm saying it wrong. Foals. It's not fowls. Ah, you're right. Oh my god. That's honestly, it's engagement bait is what it is. It is past my bedtime. I gotta go to Sleepers after this story. Thankfully, it's the last one. Thankfully, it's a national holiday tomorrow, so I'm not gonna be late for YouTube.com. Hey, see you, Codboy. Take care. Engagement chatterbait. Oh, dude, I don't even know. Like, that's the weirdest thing to just even imagine, like, being, and I'm not trying to be mean, but just to exist as, like, a content creator within the space of, like, OnlyFans or chatterbait, and just, like, imagine, like, having, like, no fans. You're just, like, sitting there naked, like, flicking your boon, and, like, just nobody gives a shit. You're just, like, and someone's, like, just one person types a comment, they're just, like, ew. And then they leave. Or they subscribe to the $5 tier to just say, gross, delete this. And then they unsubscribe. There's one clap in the background. Can somebody make her fart? Somebody make her fart. You have one person. When's she gonna fart? Are you ever gonna fart on that chair? That looks like a really good chair to fart on. That's not what I do. It's more... no, that's not... We do more of an artsy sort of like low-key decor, you know, like more of a demure... Are you gonna fucking fart? Alright, I'll fart. I'll give you $20 to fart right now. Fart in a jar and send it to my P.O. box. No glitter. It's funny because, you know, a girl like that just seems so sad. Like, such a sad existence chasing after these disgusting pieces of green paper that let us buy Fortnite skins. It's just like, we have to fucking demean ourselves. And you know for a fact that those data centers, there's just like a whole little block, or maybe like the size of like a pea in one of those like massive size of Manhattan data centers that just has your pussy and butthole just like stored there just in case. Just kept on backup in the cloud. One day when they bring you to trial. Like, what is it? This guy, why did that guy want you to fart so much? What was the deal with the farting? I don't know. It was like that for 3 days, and in that time it was mostly just me, June, and her mom around the house. And then every so often the dad, brother, or sister would appear all covered in blood and gunk, usually to grab some water or a bite to eat before heading back to keeping on with their work. It was horrible, and sometimes you could hear these horrible horse screams off in the distance, and so by that 7th and final day of my stay, I was more than ready to go home again. I remember my dad coming to pick me up, and when he asked if I had a nice time during the ride home, I just started to cry. Once I stopped, I explained everything to him, how June's family were nice, just really, really creepy at times. My dad listened to all the stuff about hunting with no guns, the thing about the horses giving birth, and how June never saw the results of any of it, and he was just open-mouthed by the end of it. He and Mom agreed that I was just to never go there again, and they were kind of weird around June when she came to stay with us later in the summer. We stayed friends, at least until the end of middle school when my family moved all over again. Sadly, we didn't end up staying in touch for more than a year, and I have no idea where she is now or what she's doing with herself. I hope she's okay, but I've never, ever forgotten all the strange and frightening things that happened that week that I stayed over at Junebug's place. Seriously though, who the fuck they are really storing in data centers that requires draining an entire city's water supply? Sus as fuck. I don't know. Let's ask the internet. Let's ask AI. Let's ask the AI themselves. They're storing our loosh. A lot of loosh in those centers. We're filled up with loosh. Okay. What are the conspiracy people saying they are storing in those data centers that require so much water, etc.? Don't sugarcoat it or try and divert away from the more ridiculous claims. You hear me? You hear me, computer that wants to kill me later? The conspiracy version is basically they're not just storing cat videos and emails, they're building the nervous system of a control grid. The normal explanation is data centers use tons of power and water because AI GPU servers run extremely hot, and water is used for cooling through chillers, evaporative cooling, and liquid cooling systems. A typical data center can use hundreds of thousands of gallons per day, and very large ones can reportedly use millions per day. But the conspiracy crowd says they're storing things like digital twins of everyone. This is one of the big ones. They claim data centers are building complete behavioral replicas of people. Your purchases, movements, voice, face, typing patterns, search history, health data, financing, financial habits, pornography habits, political leanings, emotional triggers, and social graph. The extreme version is an AI version of you exists somewhere, and it can predict what you'll do, how to manipulate you, what ads or propaganda will work on you, and whether you're at a quote-unquote risk. 2. Mass surveillance archives. This is the less ridiculous sounding one because it overlaps with real concerns. They believe data centers hold bulk surveillance data, phone metadata, smart camera footage, license plate scans, ring camera feeds, social media scraping, location history, facial recognition databases, and communication metadata. The conspiracy leap is that all of it is centralized and searchable by governments, intelligence agencies, corporations, and private contractors in one giant system. 3. AI training data scraped from humanity. They say the water use is because these centers are training giant AI systems on everything humans have ever made. Books, videos, podcasts, private messages, medical records, bank records, legal records, school records, YouTube videos, surveillance footage, and even pictures of your hairy, gross balls. The realistic part, AI and cloud workloads are driving new data center demand. The speculative part, that all private human data is being secretly vacuumed up into one super AI. 4. Social credit control system. This is a major claim. They say the infrastructure is for a future where everyone gets scored based on behavior. Obedience score, political score, carbon score, health score, financial trust score, misinformation score, extremism score, etc. The darker claims is that the scores will eventually control access to banking, travel, healthcare, internet, firearms, employment, insurance, or food. 5. Biometric and DNA databases. The more paranoid groups claim the centers are storing face scans, voice prints, gait gesture signatures, iris scans, fingerprints, and DNA profiles. And then they connect that to hospitals, ancestry companies, COVID testing, newborn screening, police databases, airport security, and phone face ID systems. The extreme version is that they're building a genetic caste/biosecurity control grid. 6. Brain data / thought prediction systems. This is where it gets more science fiction. Some claim data centers store neural and quasi-neural profiles, not literal thoughts, but enough behavioral data that AI can infer your thoughts before you speak them. The most ridiculous version says phones, 5G, satellites, or neurotech are also reading or influencing thoughts, and that data centers are where those mind maps are stored. That claim is not supported by solid evidence, but it is absolutely something conspiracy circles discuss. 7. Blackmail files. Dude, we could do a AI database, what do they call it, like iceberg. Dude, this could be an AI database iceberg video. You guys should make this for your first video. This one is old school conspiracy thinking updated for the AI era. They say the data centers are storing compromat, browser history, private photos, leaked cloud backups, financial crimes, pictures of Dr. Disrespect's mustache, affairs, drug use, embarrassing DMs, Epstein-style networks, and politician/CEO blackmail material. The idea is powerful people are controlled because everything they've ever done digitally is archived. 8. Predictive policing and pre-crime systems. They claim AI data centers are being used to forecast who may commit crimes, protest, resist government policy, spread wrongthink, or become politically dangerous. The real-world seed is predictive analytics and surveillance tech. The conspiracy version is basically Minority Report, where people are quietly flagged before they do anything. 9. The Beast System/End Times Database. Among religious conspiracy circles, especially Christian end times circles, data centers get folded into the Mark of the Beast idea. They'll say the centers store the future infrastructure for a cashless society, biometric ID, digital currency, vaccine passports, carbon tracking, and global religious/political control. 10. Humans consciousness uploading. This is one of the more out there claims that elites are using AI/data centers to eventually copy, simulate, or preserve human consciousness. The more tech occult version says billionaires want immortality through AI avatars trained on their life data. The more paranoid versions say ordinary people are being harvested into digital consciousness models without consent. 11. Climate control/weather control operations. Some conspiracy people connect water-hungry data centers to geoengineering claims. They say the centers are part of a bigger system involving weather modeling, cloud seeding, HARP-style tech, satellite networks, and environmental control. The realistic connection is that the data centers do use water and energy, and water-stressed regions are worried about that. For example, one policy summary says U.S. data centers directly consumed about 17.4 billion gallons of water in 2023, with projections rising sharply by 2028. The conspiracy leap is they're using the infrastructure to control weather or engineer climate emergencies. 12. A military AI command network. Another common claim is that civilian-looking data centers are secretly part of a military/intelligence AI system for drones, targeting, cyber warfare, population control, and wartime logistics. The believable kernel. Cloud providers do have government and defense contracts. The exaggerated claim, every major data center is secretly a node in a domestic military control grid. The simplest way to frame it, the mainstream answer, they store and process cloud data, AI workloads, business apps, streaming, backup, searches, ads, government services, and internet infrastructure. The conspiracy answer, they store the data body of the population, digital twins, surveillance archives, biometric IDs, behavior scores, blackmail files, AI personality models, and the operating system for a future control society. The most grounded conspiracy-adjacent claim is probably massive AI systems need massive stores of human-created data, and the companies and governments building them are not fully transparent about what is collected, retained, inferred, or shared. The most ridiculous claim, though, is they're storing literal thoughts and souls and consciousness, or running a beast system mind control grid. This is bonus content right here, honestly. I should just make like a... We'd have to go any further. Anybody remember HARP? Oh, I think we all remember HARP. I don't know, man. I think the craziest thing is, you know how like sometimes when you're young, and even like right now, you probably try to like make sense of like reality through the lens of like maybe your Christian upbringing or your Muslim upbringing or your random like sort of little shit that the news tells you, and you just kind of like make sense of reality that way. Like sometimes I kind of just like wonder like, holy fuck, what is reality in actuality, right? Because sometimes you just wake up and you're like, what is going on? Who am I? What am I? Why am I? You know? And then you hear all of these like sort of just absolutely fucking like 100 years in the future style technology that they have, where it's storing all of your information, it's creating copies of you, it's fucking imparting strange and abstract thoughts into your head. Like, I'm not joking, guys. Like, I've on Instagram, quite specifically on Instagram, I've had at least two really, really hyper-specific advertisements for shit that I've never, ever even mentioned to anyone ever, right? Like, not even mentioned it, just like having like these thoughts in your head, not even like talking out loud like, ah, fuck, or anything like that. Like, it's just fucking in my head, and then somehow you get an Instagram ad. Yeah. And you're just like, how does it know that? And then if it can like read your thoughts in some weird way by like scanning, I mean, I don't know, the temperature of your face or some biometric data, like who knows what other like sort of like brain waves it can transfer to your mind to make you feel or think a certain way. Obviously it does it through, I mean, if you really sit there and think about all of these like YouTube shorts, the fucking Instagram reels, the TikToks, like, sure, it's making your like cognitive ability like weaker and weaker by making your attention span shorter and shorter, but it's also kind of like very similar to how they do like MK Ultra like style brainwashing techniques. Because if you remember that one movie Street Fighter, I think I mentioned this before, but in Street Fighter, when they make Blanca, they literally just they trap Blanca in a fucking little containment area, keep his eyes open, and just force him to watch clip after clip after clip of just war. And it turns him from a normal person into like a green, red-haired monstrosity. Granted, the whole place blows up at the end, so we lose Blanca. He becomes a stripper, yeah. But, I mean, that's kind of like what our brains are going through day in and day out, like constantly receiving insane narrative after insane narrative after insane narrative. It just like drives us into a state of nonstop fight or flight. What's up, Zampai? It's basically Clockwork Orange, but like directly on our phone, yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's read the outro. Guys, don't worry. Jesus Christ has got your back. Nothing to fear, nothing to fear. Welcome to the jungle. Clockwork Jones is a freshman edgelord era. Hell yeah, dude. It never leaves. It never leaves. Stick with your edgelord. It is past my bedtime. I gotta go to sleepers. So we're gonna be 36. It's time to get real and dive into astrology at a severely autistic level. I guess. I mean, like, it does kind of seem like all the people, like, you know, Rockefeller. I'm pretty sure Rockefeller had like his own personal like astrology, basically soothsaying witch available to him at all times before he made like any big important decision. But doesn't the Bible say that you shouldn't like mess with the occult in that way? You know what I mean? Like, isn't it kind of like in the realm of like dark, trying to like predict the future like that? Joel just got back from a concert tonight, and this is the perfect way to wind down. How are you? Doing good. Who did you see? Astrology is a hard pass for me. I don't know. It just seems odd and off and strange, and I don't quite trust it. You know what I mean? What if it ends up like just making you believe you are something that you're not, and pushes you in a direction that's completely antithetical to who you really should be? I got tested positive for strep again. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Maybe you can do the, what's that called, like the warm water with salt gargle, and it can dry out the bacteria back there or some shit. I don't know to what extent that might help now, but start taking some zinc. That sounds like Catholicism. What did I say? I don't remember. Thou shalt not consult with witches and familiars. See, Justin? That's what you're doing. You're way too familiar with them witches. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and there are super fun live streams on Sundays and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over at my email, letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and you might even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel here on YouTube. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories and big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. I also have a true crime channel called Saturn Soul. All links for everything are in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, zinc is the answer. Boneless content. Bonerless content. Well, that was a good stream, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. We went for almost 4 hours. It's way past my bread time. This is the time in which I go to sleep on a big loaf of bread. I should submit my stories. Yeah, definitely. Let's read submissions@gmail.com. Send it in. But yeah, I'm going to get these up over and edited over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there. But also on Patreon, I just added the new movie review podcast. It's linked right there. It's going to be in all the new videos as well. And I'll make an announcement in tomorrow's video. It's 2 hours long. This episode we reviewed The Exorcist, me and some friends. I think it was fun. Had a good time talking about it. Very interesting movie. Honestly, a lot of interesting tidbits in there as well as behind the scenes stuff. So, yeah, that would be cool if you could come join, and definitely please leave comments and give me your thoughts on it. We want to keep getting better, and then we'll be doing another one I think on June 4th, the day after my B-Day. So, all right, guys, love you, appreciate you. Follow my Instagram at letsread.official to be kept up to date when I go live. Otherwise, I'll get this up over on YouTube 9 p.m. EST. Please watch it right when it comes out. It helps to push the video out to new people, which means new friends, new internet friends. Yippee! What's my birthday? June 4th. Yeah, coming up here soon. I'll be streaming June 3rd for it, so that'll be fun if we all can hang out and, I don't know, do something cool. All right. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Have an amazing day. And Dominic, we already know that, man. Not much we can do except pretend like everything's fine, as we always done. I'll be turning 96 years old. All right, love you guys. Appreciate you. See you soon. Bye-bye.